Minority Select, a podcast where two dudes and a guy who's their friend talk about the best thing there is, video games. My name is Shay. I will be your host today. I am joined, as always, by Kyle. What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm over here.
It's
the summer.
Amping that, just forcing that energy up, baby.
it's the summer, baby.
Yeah, all right. Cody, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm here too.
Yeah, we are all here. There are no external factors in the world to impact our excitement to talk about video games. There's nothing even in the world of video games going on negatively that would make us less excited to talk about video games.
It's been such a good week all around.
It's been an amazing week for America, for this hobby that we love, for all of us individually. I definitely wasn't pre-diagnosed with pre-diabetes this week. That everything's great. I don't need to totally change my lifestyle to avoid having a heart attack and leaving a widow and two kids behind. It's fine.
4th of July, baby. Land the free
Just
over
in
the
time.
brave.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to be grilling out this weekend, and now I have to keep that on the top of my mind.
There are people lighting off fireworks like across the street from me in the middle of a
Also true.
neighborhood. But you know,
yeah, we're recording this the evening of July 3rd, so you all may hear some pops, some bangs. That's either fireworks or maybe Cody's dog getting in a fight with the dog that is staying with them because they seem to not be getting along. So viewers, if you want to head to the YouTube channel, link in the description, you'll see some little tail wagging action on Cody's cam.
Yeah, that's right.
Because his dog's hanging out in the room with him.
Dog cam.
All of that to say, I'm happy to be here talking about video games with you guys. We've got a bunch of stuff we want to chat about. Before we run through the agenda, though, I do want to do a quick question.
Oh.
And the quick question is this. What is a game that has come out in the last couple years, that everybody loves, and you're just like, nah, this game ain't it?
Breath
and
of
not
the
just
Wild.
You don't really get it. But like you just don't think it's a good game.
Breath of the
wasn't
Wild.
at all. Breath of the Wild, is it for you? You don't. You think it's a bad video game.
It's a negative experience. The game
That's
does
too
not
far
want
for
you
me.
to play it. The game doesn't want you to play it. It puts all this interesting stuff for you to go and explore and do, and then actively tries to make it so that you can't go do those things.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in Breath of the Wild for a lot of the same reasons that you don't like it, but there was enough there that I still enjoyed my time with it. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that too. Cody, what about you?
I probably falls more into the just not for me or that I don't get it because I do like the other ones, but I really don't like to play and don't find a lot to like about Sekiro.
Interesting.
Okay.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It plays very differently, and I think that's probably the biggest driving force of that.
Yeah.
But like I never even like throwing myself at it over and over, I never felt like I was getting it like I do a Dark Souls game.
Right.
It just didn't feel good to play in any way. And
you have agency in Souls games. Like you get to really kind of pick your path through it, and they're balanced in such a way that some bosses will be easier, some will be harder, but they're all doable pretty much no matter what. But Sekiro is like, you are going to play this game the way we make you play it.
Yeah. I know, Kyle, you will vibe with my answer. I don't know, Cody. I don't remember if you liked it more, but for me, it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
I don't think that game is good. I loved the first one. I think the combat is worse in the second game. I think the open world shit is ass.
Ugh.
I think the story is like way more dumb than the first one even was. And like not in a charming way or not in as charming a way. Yeah, I just don't think that game's that good. Huge disappointment. Because the first one was like one of my favorite games when it came out.
Yeah. There's some fun stuff in Rebirth. Like there are fun things. But
there are fun things in almost every game.
Yeah.
But I still like I don't think it's good.
As like a game that I would sit down and play. Not hitting.
Yeah. Well, that question was, I didn't want to choose it. but this question is very much inspired by a game y'all are gonna ramble about forever, which was Death Stranding 2. And I'm not interested in playing Death Stranding 2, so that I can't choose that, but that went into my mind. And I was like, I don't want to be that much of a hater and say Death Stranding 2, a game I've never played. But yeah, that was knowing that you guys are gonna just be masturbatory about that game. Had to get in my digs.
Appropriately enthusiastic.
Yeah, we won't go overboard. My initial response to that question, though, the thing that first popped into my mind, which I didn't answer because I do think there are very good qualities to it, and there are parts I liked, and I liked my first playthrough, but I will likely never play again, mostly because I think it's too long of a game, and I think that's his biggest detriment, is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Wow.
I don't think it's a bad game, but I will never fucking play that game again.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those, like, the story is very, very good. It is told at a pace that is not conducive to multiple experiences.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game just wasn't for me. I'm not gonna at all say that it's bad. I think the things that I think are bad about it is the floaty movement, which is kind of a Rockstar
thing.
It just doesn't feel good to move around in their worlds. Like, the characters don't feel good to move.
I agree.
And then also just the like overabundance of systems and things, which for many people, they love that kind of thing. But for me, like, I like it when I can see a studio has trimmed the fat off of a game.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't vibe with Kojima stuff, because it feels like every idea he had was in the game. And I feel like part of like creating art is like trimming stuff and killing your darlings and all that kind of thing.
We'll talk about that.
Something I feel like is lacking in Red Dead 2 also.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Well, it's good that you're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, because there's no systems in that. So.
Well, yes. That's more of it's a self-imposed patience.
Yeah.
I need a game that forces me, or that I can use to force myself to slow down. I am losing the fun in video games because I have this weight on me of there's so much stuff to play. I have such limited time as a dad right now to play games. I need to maximize all my gaming time and be most efficient possible. If it doesn't click with me immediately, I'm out. And KCD2 is like a perfect game for me to say, no, I'm going to be patient. It's going to take me 2 years to finish this game, assuming like I end up wanting to play the whole thing. But I have to force myself to slow down with something, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose this hobby, and I don't want to lose this hobby. So anyway, lots of stuff to chat about. We kind of mentioned a couple of things already. We're going to start off with a bunch of games we've been playing. Our June game select game, which was FBC Firebreak. As I mentioned, y'all have been playing Death Stranding 2 a ton. Both of you have been playing a ton, but one of you beat the entire game, and one of you is like not even halfway through it, even though you've been playing a ton.
Yeah,
which I'm very curious.
We played it very differently.
I've been playing some KCD2, as I mentioned. Kyle played MindsEye for reasons.
I beat that video game.
And then a bunch of other random stuff we'll get in. Cody's got more Kingdom Hearts updates from other Kingdom Hearts games. I went back to Final Fantasy 12. You know, because I'm trying to be efficient with my gaming time, right? Replay Final Fantasy 12, a game I've played 8 times, including like 3 years ago. And then we got some critical hits. Cody hasn't even told us what this is. He made a surprise purchase that he's going to reveal on the podcast. Kyle wants to chat about this new horror magazine.
Horror video game centered magazine.
Yes, horror video game magazine. And then I want to chat about the Xbox ROG Ally X, which we did not really talk about in our Summer Game Fest reactions podcast because it was more oriented around the games. But I just want to talk about that as like where's Xbox at in their strategy? What does this say about the future of their consoles, et cetera, et cetera? And then we'll do a Fantasy Critic update. We'll chat about the monthly game releases for July, some of the big stuff coming out in that month. And then we'll talk about what we will be doing as Party Select in July that you can look forward to in your podcast feed and on the YouTube channel. So what do you say we talk about some FBC Firebreak?
Okay.
What do you say?
I say yes.
I think going into this, I believe, I guess I should say, I think how we feel about FBC Firebreak mirrored how we went into FBC Firebreak, being that Kyle went into it the most interested and excited because it's a PvE game. It's Remedy. It's in the cool universe that he loves.
Yeah.
I went in like interested because I love Control, but also a little bit trepidatious because like I don't want another PvE game necessarily. I'm still playing Helldivers 2 a ton. And then Cody, my recollection is you were just kind of like, yeah, I'll play it, I guess, if you guys are going to play it. And I kind of feel like that's how we came out of it. So we live streamed playing some FBC Firebreak.
Attempted to.
I would say it didn't go awesome. So this was a couple days after the game came out. They had already released a 1.2 patch, but the game barely worked.
Yeah.
Cody, in that like hour and 15-minute stream, I think Cody probably played the game for like 16, maybe 17 minutes.
Yeah, sounds
and then otherwise was rebooting his computer, getting kicked.
Unclear if that was on me or the game. I'm not going to blame the game on that, but
I think you could definitely blame the game for at least some of it. Some of it might be PC, but definitely the game is to blame for some of it. Because we also had issues with like lobbies getting broken.
Yeah.
Host got dropped. Kyle, before we started recording, you were having an issue with not getting XP after leaving the game. But yeah, I think coming out of it, Cody was very much like a whatever. I'm not even going to try anymore. This is frustrating. I left feeling very much, I see some ideas here, but there's not enough for me to care. And then Kyle, I feel like you, maybe out of obligation, maybe out of interest, were like wanting to defend it, even if maybe you didn't know if you could defend it.
I don't know that I would defend all the technical stuff. Like,
sure, yes.
The game is, I guess I haven't tried to play it in the last like week.
Yeah.
I would like to. I probably should. But I want to play more of it, but I want to play it when it's fixed. And so I feel like I want to hold off until that time comes, if it comes.
Right.
Because there is stuff there that I find fun and interesting, and the loop is rewarding. And yeah, I played, I don't know, probably 6 hours or so of it, and like kept having.
Did you go back to it after we streamed it?
Once, yeah.
Okay.
I keep having the experience of playing a match and then not getting any reward for it, and that feels really bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Why is that?
It's a bug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not a that is not a feature.
Okay.
And so like I just don't get anything from doing the thing, from doing the mission. But I kept going back to it anyways, which I think just speaks to the fact that moment to moment I was having a good time.
Yeah. I do think the shooting feels solid.
Yeah. Like, I didn't
good.
know that part was going to feel good because Remedy doesn't do first person. Right. So I was a little skeptical of like how that was going to feel. And I thought that all felt mostly fine. There's some like online multiplayer timing jank, like sync stuff that happens with these kinds of games that I wish wouldn't, but it's kind of like every online shooter. I feel like that's not Call of Duty. And even Call of Duty, sometimes that happens. And that's just kind of like what it is, unfortunately. But yeah,
but it's like the weight of the guns and the feedback and the recoil. Like I think it's fine.
Yeah,
it's not Destiny or Call of Duty or Battlefield or Helldivers. Like it's not at an elite tier of how the guns feel, but it's totally good enough,
right,
that if there was enough other stuff, the shooting wouldn't be holding it back.
Yeah.
And I do think there are a lot of really interesting ideas with the class-based thing. Like they find unique ways to make each class important on the different types of missions that you're on.
Right.
It's, for me, the biggest challenge, aside from the technical stuff, which is bad enough on its own to make me not want to engage with it. But even that stuff aside, it's the repetition. I find a lot of the missions to be kind of boring. And especially repeating those over and over again. Like there isn't enough holy shit moments with enemies, and the things you're doing in missions feel repetitive.
Yeah. Because for people who don't know the structure, there are 6 total missions currently. Each mission has 3, I guess, like levels or areas. the first time you play a mission, you go through the first area and then you extract out. Second time you play that first area again, but it's like a little bit harder, and then you go on to the next area and then you gotta extract out. Third time you're doing the first area, the second area, and then the third area. So they get longer the more you do them. And it does the Helldivers thing of like the higher the difficulty, the different kinds of mats that you're getting for your upgrades and stuff. So it's similar to Helldivers in that respect. But it is doing a lot of the same stuff over and over. So it has a little bit of that like Left 4 Dead like mission repetition to it. But it has like the meta progression stuff built in, which is always something that I felt like Left 4 Dead was missing for me. So like to me, this is like it's like a Left 4 Dead that gives me a reason to want to play it. Because like the moment to moment of Left 4 Dead is fun, but the repetition keeps me from wanting to go back kind of ever. And this game has reason for that, and so it's like it's not a game I would play. It's not like going to be my weekly crew game or whatever for years to come. Like this is the kind of thing that you blow through in a few months, and then if and when they drop new content for it, you go in and check it out and then bounce after that.
What's the end game there? Is it beating every one of the levels fully? Is it getting it? Like what would be what's your time to stop? If it's not when I'm not having fun, what's your ambition? What's your motivation there?
Probably once you've unlocked all the stuff.
Okay.
Because like you would have to beat all the missions and then go do them on the even harder, like the corrupted versions of those missions to get the different materials that you can use for upgrading skills and stuff. So yeah, I guess it would be like find the things in the skill tree that I'm really interested in checking out and get those, play around with them, upgrade them, and then I don't know if there's like a good reward for people who are into the Remedy universe, because I've only played the first 2 missions. So I haven't gotten far enough to know if there's like I'm sure there's like stuff meaningful in there. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it is like meaningful. But I would like to find that out, but I might not get a chance to because it doesn't sound like very many people are playing it, and also it's still a mess.
Yeah. The player count is pretty abysmal. I think it was like less than 200 people playing on any given day recently, which is not awesome.
I don't think this would be the narrative if the game worked as intended.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think you would get some of this I think you'd get some of the disappointed or confused feedback from a portion of the gaming population who are used to live service games being a certain thing. But I think you'd have a lot of people like me who it clicks with, and this is kind of the thing we're always looking for in a live service game. Something that's not trying to take all your time from you. It respects the fact that you do want to play other things, but it's just invested in giving you a fun experience for the time being. And like
we won't
pre-release, that's what they had talked about.
That's what they talked about, 100%. And that's what it is. Like it clearly it is what they made that thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna know if it works, because at this point the player count's so bad and the technical issues are so big, it's hard to see this game making it through. I don't know if the people you're talking about exist in enough, like if there are enough of you, right? Like to actually sustain a game like this. And that was clearly their goal. I wonder, and maybe it'll take another attempt at this, or maybe it'll take them sticking with it for a year or two in order to fix everything, and then we'll see what happens. That's just my big question mark, is like, are there enough people out there that want a casual live service game? Because that's not what is in the market. Like live service games are not casual. And I would throw Helldivers into the mix as a casual game.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's why I am not being serviced in the current market. Right. Because every game is trying to wring you dry of everything you have. And it feels disgusting. And so I just don't engage with them ever.
But and
a lot of them are competitive too. But
that I wonder about that, though. If you're not doing a true live service game where you're giving that drip feed of content at a regular basis, which is, like you said, isn't trying to be, how do you justify keeping up server costs? and you're not
That's the
getting
issue.
money.
Like,
and like,
if
how do you
you're-
justify that then? If you're not doing things to keep people in that game, how do you warrant keeping those servers up?
I mean, it depends on how much the servers cost, right? Like, but like, because my understanding of what they said pre-release is that they plan on doing like content drops, sort of like expansion releases. Like, I don't know if it's every quarter or like a couple times a year or what it is, but like they do that, and then a bunch of people come back, play the content because it's a, you know, it's a platform that they understand, it's a game they already know. They can come back, do that thing, and then go play the other games. Then they release more content. People come back, play the thing. But
Is that not a live service?
no, live service is like, you got to keep them weekly. Like, you got to keep them going. There's a battle pass. There's things to grind. It's.
I mean, there is still stuff to grind
nonstop
in this game.
Yeah, but there
isn't a battle pass or anything,
Right.
or like, but, and again, I think like I compare it to something like Helldivers 2, and I think the biggest challenge is how you measure success with a game like this.
Yeah.
Because live service games are measured on player retention and engagement over time.
Yeah,
And
I'm
you
curious
look at,
how
with
Remedy,
Helldivers,
like, views the level.
yeah,
of
I mean,
success.
they self-published this game, I think, right?
Yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah.
all on
and they
them
got
to
a
figure that
deal
out.
with Sony and a deal with Microsoft for having it on Game Pass and on PlayStation Plus. And so like that money alone might have made this experiment make sense.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
But I know, like, with Helldivers, that was their problem.
Yes.
6 months in, was players were not sticking around because the drip feed of content was too low. And then they would drop something big like the Illuminate, and a ton of people came back, but then most of them left again, like a month later.
That's
and
also
now
a studio that's only working on Helldivers.
Yeah, I'm just talking
Remedy
about
has
the
other
kind,
irons
this
in the
kind,
fire.
I understand. I'm talking about the success of this kind of game. And they tried to do a casual approach, and they lost all their players. And they would get people to come back for a week, 2 weeks, and then would lose them all again. And so they have pivoted how they make this game, and they're doing more drip feed of content now that's more frequent to keep players more engaged. It was published by Sony. It's a different kind of approach than a self-published game. But like the point is, I don't know what their thought process was on how they're going to measure the long-term, even short-term success of FBC Firebreak.
Right.
And we'll hopefully we will know. Hopefully they fix it and people go check it out. But likely we won't ever really know if this game could have made it because of all the technical problems. It's just an interesting approach.
Yeah.
Because games that I've seen, like Helldivers, that attempt more of a casual, we don't care if people come in and out. That's kind of the point. Don't stick with that plan. Because at the end of the day, they need players in there in order to justify continuing to support it.
So here's my thing. I would have continued to go back to Helldivers, but every time I came back in, there had been so much new stuff that had dropped in between my time that I was like overwhelmed and felt so behind the curve that it's like, what's the fucking point anymore? I'll just go play more 7 Days to Die. Like, I'll just go
but
start
how
up another
so?
world
It's
there.
just like new enemy types and new
but it's like
planets.
all the war bonds stuff. Like, you're so far behind on the war bonds, and it just feels like I felt so underwater with that stuff that I was never going to catch up and never going to be able to earn the new guns that are on like the later pages of the battle pass stuff, of the war bond stuff. I just felt completely demotivated because of the amount of content that was dropping was not matching at all my level of interest in wanting to engage with the game. But I still want an experience that's going to reward me and like not make me feel underwater. So it's tough because like they only have Helldivers 2. So they need a constant influx of cash from people playing the game and spending money on the war bonds and cosmetic stuff. So they need to keep people all the time. They need to keep those player numbers up. So the drip feed makes sense. Something like Firebreak, Remedy's not built that way. They make games that take years to come out and they drop, and then maybe there's a little bit of DLC after the fact, but that's kind of it. And then they go work on a new game. So something like FBC Firebreak, they're not beholden to the structure of we need that cash flow every month from this video game.
Well, but they do need the cash flow in general. And so we don't know what their deal was with Microsoft or with Sony for the Game Pass and PlayStation Plus stuff. But like, if you look at Alan Wake 2, that game only broke even like over a year after it came out. So it's like Control was a huge runaway success. So
Yeah.
maybe they're sitting on some extra cash, right? But it's not like they're going to be psyched if FBC Firebreak doesn't take off. Like, it's not like
No,
they're
of
going to
course
be
not.
happy with that result, or like, I mean, we see what happens in the industry, man. All it takes is one game to not hit and layoffs start pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And that's just I don't think that that's what is in store for Remedy,
Right.
but it's scary, right? Especially because they self-publish this. So they are on their own
Yeah.
in terms of the marketing dollars and, I mean, paying their employees and all that stuff. It really all falls on them.
I just seeing a game studio take an approach that reflects my patterns of behavior is exciting. Where I do not feel like I'm being exploited and made to feel guilty and punished for not checking in all the time.
Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny,
Right.
Warframe, Helldivers. Like,
But hell,
don't
I
feel that with the
fundamentally
Helldivers.
disagree.
I super do.
No, like you can feel about it however you want, but your description of the content in Helldivers just is objectively incorrect. Like, the War Bonds is not new content that you have to engage with. It is optional stuff to purchase. No one is forcing you to buy any of it.
But that is the new stuff. It's the new weapons and the new abilities.
That's not true. But that isn't true, though, because they're releasing new missions, new enemy types, new planets. Like, all of that stuff is for free, and they're doing it very regularly. A lot of them are timed. A lot of them are like long-term things that are just a new faction that you can randomly fall into.
Regardless
it's
of the
not-
description of it.
I guess I'm just not seeing that stuff. Like, that stuff is not
Well, you're
the
not
stuff
playing it.
Yeah, but okay. But as like, if they're trying to bring people back, part of their outward messaging, I guess I'm just not seeing that stuff as much as their advertisements for the War Bond stuff, which makes sense because that's where they make their money. But I guess I'm not being advertised the new mission types in the same way as all the cosmetic pay us money stuff.
The additional content stuff for a game like Helldivers is very different for than a game like Destiny, where in Destiny you're truly missing out on content if you aren't playing. Helldivers, you're not missing anything by waiting. There's just more for you to do and engage with.
There are exceptions. There are times in Helldivers where they
things.
have limited time events that go away, like the Illuminated attack on Super Earth. Like, that was a limited time, week and a half-ish long thing, and now it's over. They kept, like, you can still get the Super City biome with different enemy types and different mission types, but like, because it's a story, it's like a war story, and so that story happened and ended. So I don't want to misrepresent it.
Sure,
there are things that you would miss if you don't play for a week. That has happened to me.
But even that feels different than the stuff you miss in Destiny.
Yes, I agree.
I mean,
absolutely.
Well, because
Destiny
the stuff you
will
miss in
vault
Destiny,
content and just never bring it back ever.
correct.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, that's
totally.
That's what I was gonna say.
And in Destiny, it's important. I mean, not to say it's not important in Helldivers, but like, in order to really get out of Destiny what you'd want to get out of Destiny, it is important stuff that you could have missed and you can't access anymore. Whereas, again, it's not that it's not important in Helldivers, but you can have just as good of an experience having witnessed that as you would having not witnessed that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why I prickle a little bit, Kyle, when you talk about Helldivers, which I'm not trying to be overly defensive about it, but the way that they have structured this game, I believe, and they've said it, and I think it holds true, is directly to address the toxic problems of live service games, like a Fortnite, where they have battle passes that exist for a month and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you have to hope that it comes back. And so Helldivers specifically, all of that, that's why it feels so overwhelming when you log in and you see 10 different battle passes. But that's way better than them deleting 8 of them and you only have the 2 and you just never get to have that gun. You can choose if you want to get that battle pass, the war bond, whatever, and work towards that gun. Also, the idea that you can earn currency in game to purchase the battle passes is hugely different than a lot of live service games. I don't know how this turned into a teardown of Helldivers and like defense of Helldivers. That wasn't the intent of what this was. It was more a comparison of like the approach that Remedy took towards FBC Firebreak, fitting within a niche that in some ways Helldivers proved existed, because there are many players that wanted a casual game that was different than a Fortnite or a Call of Duty Warzone or whatever it was.
Right.
But then they had to pivot their strategy because the player retention wasn't there. So it's just interesting. Like, I wonder if FBC Firebreak had worked, would they have gotten enough of an influx to start and kept those players for a couple of weeks to then see what happens? If those players fall off in 6 months when they launch a new mission type, will those people come back? We just don't know.
Yeah.
But I hope they figure it out, truly, because I think, like I said, I think there's a lot of cool ideas there. I think it feels good to play that game. And I also, even though like I don't care about Alan Wake, like I really want to support Remedy. I think they're a really talented, exciting studio that's doing cool shit. But yeah, after we streamed it, I didn't even think about it, like going back and trying to play more of it. It just didn't even enter my brain. And that's sad. Like, that sucks. Because I bet you a lot of other people were like that.
Yeah.
Anything else about FPC Firebreak?
No.
For what it's worth, I thought the 17 minutes that I did play, it was fine.
Right.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are neat ideas.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Let's move on to Death Stranding 2. I'm going to take a quick nap and you guys can chat about Death Stranding 2.
Right off the top,
yeah.
Shay, I genuinely, I truly
Don't tell me that
think
I would like it.
I really do. I think that gameplay is so kinetic and it's so satisfying completing an order. I really do think you would like the gameplay. I truly do think you're keeping yourself away from at least an experience, a gameplay experience that I think you would really vibe with.
And if you don't
I've
believe
seen
us,
that this is more action-y than the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Which definitely would be more appealing to me, because the first one just seemed kind of boring, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, so in the first one, there weren't really non-lethal guns. In this game, you don't get the lethal guns until later, because the whole thing with Death Stranding is if you kill a person and their body like touches a beached thing, there's a huge void out.
Don't go too far into it.
There's a huge void out, and
you're gonna lose him.
it explodes like a giant, basically like a nuke going off. If you kill a person and
killing
it touches
people's
one
bad.
Killing people, yeah. It turns out killing people bad.
I knew this already. I played The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh yeah. Okay, so in this game, because they give you all these, they're just guns, and they just say they're non-lethal, but you're just lighting these motherfuckers up like any third-person action game.
Okay.
So there's that whole part of it. It's very much, they sanded down a lot of the rough edges of the first Death Stranding, and I think that's clearly to its betterment in terms of a wider audience, capturing a wider audience. Open Critic score is insane. It's like a 90. I do think it loses a little something, and Cody, you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier on just a call between the two of us. Through giving you more options, there's always like an easy way out to accomplish whatever the delivery is or whatever the mission is. You're trying to go get something, trying to go kill something, or not kill, trying to go neutralize something. Whatever it is, there's usually tools that will make it easier and in some ways more fun. But also there was a part of the original Death Stranding where it was kind of like the pain was the suffering, for lack of a better word, was part of the point, and it made it more satisfying to complete. That's why, orders.
Shay, you say the first one looked boring. I don't think like if you just watch someone play it,
there's nothing about Death Stranding 2 that's boring. I can tell you that right now.
But even in the first game, like if you watch someone do a delivery, yeah, you're probably going to be bored.
Sure.
There is something about holding that controller and making the trek yourself and getting there that you're just washed with relief. And that feeling is what keeps you going to the next one.
That sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, it's huge, and you just don't get that by watching it. And man, so to your point, Kyle, that's what I like a lot about the first game is you don't get the truck, which is like you can load so much into the truck. It's like the biggest vehicle that you can drive. You can load all your stuff into there and drive all around, especially once all the roads are made and everything.
Yeah.
But you don't get the truck in the first game until pretty far into the game. And even when you do get it, there are enough missions that force you to not use the truck. You have to climb a really tall mountain, or it's snowy and the truck will get stuck. There's a lot of reasons where they force you into climbing or force you on your feet. And again, that gives you that sense of accomplishment when you do it. Because as you progress through that game, as you mentioned, Kyle, things get easier and easier. They give you more tools to make the trek easier as it goes. So
yeah. And Sam, Sam's, this is not well explained because of course it's not, it's very opaque, but there's like a rating system, and Sam's rankings for various stats are going up, and those are actually making the character perform better in different circumstances. So you are like kind of ranking and leveling up as you go along as well.
But in 2, you get the truck super early on.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, Kyle, that really trivializes a lot of the game. I mean, Kyle, you've beaten it. Let's talk about that. We're both at 35 hours. Kyle's beaten it in 35. I'm on like episode, what am I, 6? Episode 6 of 17. And at the same amount of time. And you have only used the truck on every single
Once I unlocked
mission.
the truck, I used the truck for so I didn't do any side missions. I did so there are major orders, which are your story missions, sub orders, which are like special side missions where you're going to get a cool thing if you do it. And they usually have some sort of like story. That's something this game does better about as well. They usually some story implication for the person you're doing the order from. You learn more about them and their situation, and it furthers their story a little bit. I think that, like, in general, the characters that you encounter in this game are a lot more vibrant and interesting, and they go into more detail about their lives in this one than they did in the first one. And then you have your standard orders, which are like the repeatable, recyclable content for like farming materials or increasing your ratings. And like the reason you would want to farm materials would be so you can contribute to roads being built or zip lines or like whatever else you want to build, different equipment, etc. I only did major orders, like, because I was so obsessed and drawn into the cadence and the momentum of the story. I just wanted to see that through, and I was so motivated to do that that I didn't want to take any side trips. And so like that whole experience of basically mainlining the game was about 33 hours. And it is currently my game of the year. I'll just say that right now.
And what's interesting, we like it for different reasons.
We
too.
like it for very
I like the
different
story.
reasons.
Don't get me wrong. I love the story, but I told you earlier, I could play this game every day. I love the moment-to-moment delivery, planning my route, picking I need to get a package from here and bring it to here, but I also have a package I need to get from here and bring to here. So how can I most efficiently go between these points and then deliver everything to them in one trip? Like, I love that. And then the challenge of navigating the terrain, picking up things as I go, building like, I love the moment-to-moment gameplay so fucking much.
Yeah.
It is so good.
And like to the point of sanding off the edges and making it more accessible and a lot of cases easier, more fun for different types of players. Let's take the situation, Cody, like where you're in, where you have an order here, and you want to try and route your way. Well, let's say like you have a zipline network from point A to B. Your ultimate point is C. You can just zipline from A to B, go pick up that extra order from B. And then, like, usually at all the big area or like the big centers, there are other players' vehicles, and some of them will be like scattered around, but some of them are like actually in the facility, like Superman 7609_XDX's truck or whatever. And you can just,
are these real players or
real
like
players' trucks?
Players?
Real players,
okay.
real digital trucks with their loadouts and stuff, and like all the equipment they have on it and all that. And you could just take that truck out and hop in it and take the truck from point B to C because you haven't established your zipline network or roads yet. And so it gives you so many more options. It's so much more flexible. And the more of those sub orders that you do, the more technology, the more equipment that you're unlocking to then like tackle different kinds of situations differently. It really rewards both through narrative and with like physical upgrades and equipment unlocks, like all those sub order stuff. And that's like
But,
a
like-
lot of people are really into that moment to moment. This is much more of a playground than the first game was. The first game
Okay.
was like a little bit more of a Sekiro like, right? Like you were going to play the way that Kojima's vision and his team's vision dictated you're going to play.
For what it's
This-
worth, I think it worked better in that game than Sekiro, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
neither here nor there.
But this one it's a much more open experience. They just let you let loose and have fun. There's so much ridiculous, silly. There's an otter hat, which I guess was in the first game. There's an otter hat that you get that if you fall into the water, like you can kind of maintain your balance.
You don't drown.
You don't.
You
Yeah,
float
you
on
don't
the
drown.
water
Yeah,
and
you
can-
float on the water. That's right, and you can kind of
Mhm.
paddle side to side
Mhm.
to like steer yourself in the river or whatever. And then so you just have like you have Norman Reedus with an animated little otter hat on in your cutscenes, and it's really stupid and funny. And it's just like it's full of silly, anachronistic things like that.
Right.
And you can totally play it
That's
that way. I did not play it that way. I played it very seriously, very focused on the story, and kind of like let the tone be the tone that it was, and got a lot out of that. And so it's a game that gives you more options than the first game did. And I think that you're seeing that. Well, and that's like something the director's cut of the first game tried its hand at a little bit, was giving you more options. And I think that's why a lot of people came back to the director's cut of Death Stranding 1 and were like, oh, you know what, this game's actually kind of neat. Like people came around on it over time. And I think having those like a bevy of options and crazy interesting things going on from the jump has led to a much greater success out the gate for the game.
So with the whatever the minor orders that you're doing
Some
that
orders,
are kind of
yeah.
grindy, like you're getting materials so that you can get roads, upgrade your shit to make the missions easier.
Yeah.
But like, why do the missions? Is it just because it's fun?
So you're
Like the
also you're also like the missions are from person to person, right? And so you're also fulfilling an order for a person or a facility, increasing your ranking with those facilities even by doing just the standard orders. And so
every time you rank up with one of
you
them,
unlock a
that
thing.
you get a thing that will inevitably make your journey easier.
Yeah.
So like you might get an upgraded pouch for grenades where you can carry more grenades, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the
More
reason I
blood
ask is
grenades.
because like Kyle, you didn't really do any of that. You just
Right.
mainlined it. So like, if you don't need to do those other things to get those upgrades, why do that?
Because that's where all
I-
the silly like fun stuff is.
Uh-huh.
But
'Cause
I mean, there's also
what I
some-
found is there was a little bit of that on the main track, but not much. What I found was the main story, like the unlocks, the early unlocks you get, because like even the major orders you're doing, going from facility to facility, you'll get like 1 or 2 stars with each facility just from doing those. So you get a couple of those early unlocks for every facility. So you are still getting enough like variety of things to try throughout gameplay, but it's none of like the weird, wacky, fun stuff.
But there also is a lot of utility in there too. So like as
Yeah.
part of the story, you do get a sniper rifle.
Right.
I 5-starred a person and I got a silenced sniper rifle. So
Right.
now I can go into camps and they're never going to hear me as I tranquilize them all. So like, while you can just use the normal sniper rifle, it's loud and they're going to hear it and they're going to come after you. Me investing more time in getting that is now going to make that easier for me. So like
Right.
you can mainline it and use what you're offered through that means, or again, things will either get a little more wacky or have some more utility of the things that you locked from doing the story missions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm comparing it to like an RPG, which I know this is not really, but like an RPG, like they got the mainline story and they've got a million side missions, and you kind of need to do the side missions in order to level up enough to be able to do the main missions. So the game kind of is forcing your hand and guiding you into much of the side content. Doesn't seem like this game is as interested in pushing you into the side content.
So I would have
but
definitely had
the
an easier
rewards
time
seem meaningful.
Like late game, I would have had a much easier time had I gotten some unlocks that Cody has told me about. There were some bosses that were really tough, but there were also functions in the game to help like make that a little bit easier. So you can do like a materials I forget what it's called, like a gear requisition thing, and it'll pop up in other players' worlds, and there'll be these little circles around that pop up, and it could be like, I need a weapon, and you can put that down, and it'll pop up in someone else's game at that spot, and they can go and they can drop a weapon there, and it'll come into your game and pop in for you. And like, thanks for the fucking weapon, bro. And then you give them a like, because you're liking everything, giving a bunch of thumbs up. But in the story, there are a lot of thumbs ups happening, which is very dumb. But so there are systems like that, and especially in boss battles, they just kind of do that anyways. Like there will be like little tar human things that pop up and like holding a grenade launcher box for you, and like you're running from a boss, you're like, thanks, bro, like yank the grenade launcher.
Because otherwise you may go into that boss not having any guns on you, not knowing there was going to be a boss, so there has to be some option to, get you gear.
And they're never like the really good stuff, but it's like enough for you to like be able to get by in the fight. Yeah, but like it's none of the fun, wacky stuff that you're getting. It's all the low level stuff. So like I managed to make my way through the game, but I never died, but I came very close, like in like very harrowing situations. And I mean, a lot of it is because of that truck. And I had a heartbreaking moment where there was one really extended action sequence where like bombs were going off and shit was on fire, and I was fighting all this crazy shit. And I had my truck loaded with grenade launchers that I had crafted, and I had used all of them, and I was like out of weapons and like having to like take enemies down with my like hand-to-hand combat and steal their weapons and like use them. And it was fun to play that way, but it was also like, I am barely getting by right now. Like I'm out of blood bags. I'm not regenerating health anymore. I'm out of crypto biotes. There's nothing else I can do to get my health back. So like having to play very carefully, when, I could have had like a 4-barreled rocket launcher that I could have brought with me or something crazy that would have made certain things easier, more bombastic, more fun, whatever. But to your point, Shay, it's not necessary, but I didn't know what I was missing out on, I guess, until I started, because I beat it in the first 3 days it came out, early release.
Mm-hmm.
I put like 33 hours in 3 days. That's how much I loved what I was doing in this video game. And as I've watched more people play it, more people listen to more people talk about it, I kind of wish I had done some of the side stuff, because I'm like, oh, I could have really used that here, and that would have made this crazy and fun and wacky in this way. But yeah, but again, I like, it was workable for me, and I clearly still got a lot out of it. And like, there wasn't anything aside from some just like the baked in Kojima wackiness. There wasn't anything else to like really shake up the tone for me, which I think in the end kind of made it hit a little bit better. Like I didn't have an otter hat on Sam in any of the cutscenes, which would have been funny and stupid, but it maybe would have ruined a couple moments. But yeah, it just, I also really needed a big budget game to hit for me. And I
totally get that.
So grateful that we can still make big games like this that I like.
That's how I feel about Ghost of Yotei. Like, look, there is a universe where that game comes out and is wildly disappointing. It's one universe out of a trillion options. Like, there's no way I'm not going to love that game. I have too much faith in the studio, and I love the first game too much. But that's exactly to your point. Like, that's the game that I just am putting all my hopes and dreams on. Yeah. That I know is going to feel like comfort food for me from a AAA perspective. So I'm glad that you've got that. Like,
yeah. And I
life's
didn't know
tough
that going
right
in.
Now. It's good to have that.
Yeah, life's tough. I didn't know it was going to be that game for me going in. I realized it really fast though, because it opens really, really strongly. It's a very strong opening. And I was, and that's kind of what dictated my desire to focus on the story, is just like the opening sequences of it were so engaging, mystifying, and baffling in ways, of course. But really, really affecting stuff going on. So
I did want to ask about some of the story stuff and not spoilery. We're going to end up talking about this game next month too. I've prepared myself for that. And so maybe you guys can do a little bit more spoilery conversation, presumably when Cody's beating it next month. But Cody's saying like, I'd be far more into the gameplay than maybe I think I would be. The Kojima-isms around the story and world and characters is the more off-putting piece to me.
Sure.
Sell me on that part of it.
Yeah, I
feel
think
like go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So there's something about the cast that helps it become digestible. Like he just has a lot of really great actors in this thing who are able to deliver his crazy,
celebrity Pokemon collection.
Yes, who are able to deliver his insanity in a way that makes it digestible.
In a grounded way.
Yeah. Like
that's very funny because Mad Mikkelsen admitted in an interview after the first
they have
game
no idea what's
where he
going
was
on.
like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. And like there's an interview with Norman Reedus going around where like he's talking about Kojima in the mocap studio. Kojima was like, okay, now you cry. He's like, why? He's like, oh, because the strand, the sky, and with the baby. And Norman Reedus was like, all right, I trust you, man. And then he's like, and then Kojima's like, oh, look, a whale. And like, you got to go with it, man. It's like, but it really, like, I tell you, he makes it come together. Not always. Not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is just weird bullshit. But it's bullshit that believes in itself.
Yes.
And
yes,
takes
it's
itself.
Earnest. It is absolutely
earnest.
earnest.
Yes.
So this is interesting. We'll touch on Kingdom Hearts a little later,
Yeah.
but we compared it to Kingdom Hearts.
We did.
That
We had a whole day where we were going through some shit.
I'm playing through the Kingdom Hearts games, and where those games break their own rules all of the fucking time. They establish something, and then everyone or everything is an exception to the thing that's been established.
Yeah. Infuriating.
Death Stranding very much protects its world and the things it establishes. It builds on those and respects those. And that's why even when it's batshit crazy off the wall,
it's consistent.
It's consistent, yes.
With itself.
Nothing breaks. You start to understand it because it's consistent. Where in Kingdom Hearts, it's just it's incomprehensible.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts has no systems. It is just a series of things that happen so that other things can happen. It's just a series of MacGuffins and events to facilitate Nomura jacking himself off. Like that's all.
It's not an excuse for Kingdom Hearts, but some of that comes from so many games made by so many different people that always ends up bastardizing your thing. And you can say whatever you want about Kojima, and I certainly have. But the dude is an auteur. Like he owns his shit. Yeah. And everything is according to his rules. And if he doesn't like it, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And so I think that helps, to your point, Cody, that helps him protect his IP and his story because there aren't a lot of voices. His is the only voice that exists. Right. And I think there's a lot of bad to that, but that is one of the positives of it is when you're doing something this insane, it needs to be consistent or it's stupid, which is what Kingdom Hearts has done. And when we say Kingdom Hearts, we mean the series, not the first game.
Correct.
Because none of us will say anything bad about the first game.
Game's perfect.
You should go listen to our Best Games of 2002 podcast.
It's a perfect video game.
I do think the story in 2 is benefits from 1 existing.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Because 1 does all the exposition for you. And there's a little thing in 2 from the main menu that you can like watch a quick summary that Dead Man gives. And I shouldn't have said the name. No, now Shay's not going to play it.
You were starting to reel me in, and now I've run away with the line.
Yeah, Dead Man.
I'm off the hook.
Guillermo del Toro's body, voiced by someone else.
He's an amalgamation of a bunch of different people. He's like a Frankenstein's monster.
Yes, yeah.
That's why he's dead.
He goes through and kind of explains some like the high point broad stroke stuff through like a very like surprisingly succinct, quick 4-minute slide presentation, basically is what it is. And they did implement what's called the corpus system, which is at any point when a proper noun is said or brought up, it's the lore thing. You can look it up and there's a menu for it. I think that stuff's laid out pretty well. And that stuff works pretty easily. I didn't have to use it a whole lot because like I have watched all of the first game, and I've also, like, with Cody, watched a couple lore videos on it just to try and wrap my head around some of the stuff. So, like, I felt like I was totally up to speed and ready to go for basically everything that was happening, and then it just... The second one, yeah, you're right, Cody. The second one benefits from the first one having existed because it gets all that systems level, rules level, exposition level stuff out of the way, and the pacing of the story is so much
from that.
better. Yes. Yeah. Benefits.
Do I need
hugely.
to play? If I was going to check this out,
so.
which I'm not committing to, you don't think I would need? Because here's my problem. I don't like Kojima's storytelling.
Sure.
I think it's bad. I think he's a bad writer and a bad storyteller. What I wouldn't want to happen is me give the second game an honest shot, but be held back, not because the storytelling is bad, but because I'm missing everything because I don't know the story from the first game. But also what's not going to happen is I'm not going to go watch a 30-minute YouTube video about the story of the first Death Stranding because I don't give a fuck. So I'm this is where my confliction is I don't particularly want to go play the first game. But if I'm going to give the second game a shot, I don't want to be hamstrung by having not played the first game.
So I'm going to avoid spoilers, obviously, because like people have not finished this. Cody's not finished this. I will say the thing they give you at the main menu that describes the events of the first Death Stranding are basically all you need to know. Like, they leave out so much of the first video game. And there's some emotional stuff in there about like what drives Sam and things like that. But none of that. Some of that stuff helps provide a little bit of context for some of the things going on and his reactions to things and whatever, but it's not necessary.
Plus, with the corpus, I imagine if you're confused by something, like I guarantee you, if there's something is happening, there is an entry.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why is he crying? You will find an entry for that in corpus.
Yeah. There is no shortage of writing to be found in this video game that Kojima made. Surprise, surprise. Like, the corpus is the stand-in for the 5 million codec calls in Metal Gear Solid.
Right. I have very little confidence that I would enjoy playing the first game. And so I feel like if I was going to, like, it's a useless exercise for me to go check that out first. If I was going to give this a shot, I would want to be in a position where I'm able to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And not where like, I'm just, his games are so focused on story and characters, despite all the crazy systems in them. I don't want to be completely lost where I can't even try to enjoy my time with it.
They start you out very small. It's just a couple of characters. And then they add characters into the mix kind of one at a time and give you some time with them every time they do it. And so I feel like that's part of what makes it really digestible.
And the thing that helps me is, or helped me more so in the first one that does carry it over to the second one. When you see something that you don't understand or are confused by something, just wait. Just wait. It's going to be confusing.
Usually be told to you.
Yes.
In some way.
Yes. There will usually be an explanation for anything weird that you see. It's usually explained in some way. The explanation might be bullshit, but if you see something like, why are these people gray right now? Yeah. Oh, well, just wait. Like, it's going to make sense.
The gray thing, you'll get it. Or, like, check the corpus. Maybe the corpus already has a thing on it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to sign up to pay $70 for a game I'm probably gonna hate, but
also like
I would love to not be a hater, man.
Yeah. If you think the moment to moment seems interesting, you can spend a lot of time with that video game not doing much with the story because there's a lot of the gameplay in the game.
When the story's happening, you can just laugh at it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I need to check out some like a Let's Play or something and get a better sense of the moment to moment stuff and see if that might jive with me a little bit more than I would have expected it to.
Man, planning
because I assume it was going to be more like the first game, and seeing what's in the first game, I was like, this is boring as fuck. I understand if you're doing it, it feels different.
This one gets going very quickly.
This one puts you out like what the end game of the first one is within like the first couple hours.
Yeah, gotcha. You have basically access to all the stuff you had at the end of the first game very quickly.
Yes.
Which helps a lot.
Which I'm sure you'll enjoy if you happen to play and get to this part. But there are like sort of natural springs you can take baths in, and in at least one of them, you get in there, you look up at the sky, and you'll see a constellation of Kojima's face in the sky.
I have seen a clip of this.
Also,
I added it to the list of reasons why I don't want to play his bullshit games.
Dude, Dollman.
What a douchebag.
Dollman is one of the greatest characters. He's one of the greatest characters in a video game this year. Dollman is incredible.
Yeah.
He's your little Navi, but
Mimir,
yeah. He's not annoying at all. He's super useful and funny and weird. His story is heartbreaking, terrible. Like the mechanics behind how he is the way he is all get explained. It's fine. But so Dollman is like a drone. You can, if you're like, let's say you're going into a bandit base. You're off the grid, so you can't construct a watchtower to tag all the stuff in the area, so you know where it all is, where all the enemies are. You can throw Dollman up into the air and look through his eyes and use him as a drone to tag all the enemies and items in the area. There's a giant metal coffin that you can use like a hoverboard. Yeah, I don't want to say anything. There are so many cool items and like the game is constantly surprising you with, like, you go, oh wait, hold on, I get to use this now? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go use this right now because that sounds fun as hell. It's just a series of those moments.
We'll see, man.
You don't have to play this video game.
No,
I know, but like I said, I would love to not be a hater. There's enough shit in this world to hate. I don't want to hate a video game creator, but I do, and I would like to find a way to not. Truly, I would.
Sure.
And you're saying the right things. Like the story stuff, that's hard. It's hard for me to picture me enjoying what's going on, because I know what he does.
Yeah.
But from a gameplay perspective, there's plenty of stuff in all of the MGS games that I thought was really cool and really fun to do. And so if this has a little more of that energy with the freedom of it and it's less walky walk, then I could see myself getting into that.
Yeah. Like I only had to go on foot like the first couple of deliveries, and then I had the bike. And I used the bike for like a few deliveries, and then they gave me the truck. And I used the truck for the rest of the video game.
We need to move on. Because we're an hour in and we got a lot of stuff to chat about. We will talk more Death Stranding 2 next month. You know, Cody, no pressure, but it would be good for you to, if you finish it by then, it'd be good. You guys can do some spoilery stuff. And even if I end up playing it, I'm not going to give a fuck if you talk spoilers.
Desperately need to talk about the last sequence of events in that video game with somebody. Oh my god.
That might be tough. I don't know that we'll want to do like end of the game spoilers for folks.
Well, no, just like off podcast. I need to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Well, all right. I can mention Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 briefly. You guys talked about this in depth in previous pods when you were playing it, but I had a 4-hour trial as like the PlayStation Plus premium bullshit that I'm paying for because they have games for my kids on there. But I was like, you know what? Let me go for this. Let me see what this is about. So I played for 4 hours. I got essentially just through the beginning tutorial of the game. I got to the point where, you go up to the castle and they dump shit on you. And then you go to the bar and you're talking to the hot chick. And then that was kind of the end of my time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy it and just force myself to buy it so that I force myself to play it. I've not gone back to it just because I've been too busy, but this is going to be my background game. I'm going to play a lot this weekend. Kids are spending some time at in-laws, so I've got dedicated hours so I can play this.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was, well, the two things which kind of tie together is just the writing in general, I think is
so good.
Excellent. And the voice acting is also really good and carries it, but the writing is like crazy good.
Yeah.
Just very natural and real.
I was blown away.
And that leads to just the sense of immersion in this space. I think is so cool. And again, they've not even let me go explore yet.
Right.
Most of my time was like tutorial stuff. And then you spend a bunch of time with the sort of healer lady living out in the woods where you get little missions, but you're basically just staying in that one spot.
Right.
But it's still just so like it sucks you in and it feels so real and tangible. And that's why I was like, this is a game that I could get into. I'm worried about the systems. I'm worried about the complexity and feeling overwhelmed because that happens to me in games like this.
Yeah.
But the combat I found way more approachable than it looks like.
Yeah.
So if anyone's
it's hard to parse
gameplay,
visually.
Yeah, like if you, like me, watched gameplay and was like, this looks complex
like,
and weird.
What is this?
It's way easier and more fun than I expected with angling your hits and trying to countering is pretty easy to do, which is a huge like pairing and countering, which is a big part of combat. It's not like easy, but it's a lot more, it makes more sense. It's tangible when you're playing it than it maybe looks like it is. But yeah, I've just been really impressed by the other stuff, the writing of the characters in the world, that I'm less worried about the gameplay systems feeling overwhelming. Because I'm not good at this, but I can and will choose to ignore things if I don't want to do them, and it's overwhelming. Like I made a potion, and it was super complex and very cool. Very cool that you can do that. But I was immediately like, I don't think I'm going to be doing this very often because it's ridiculous and there are a million steps and it goes wrong. So we'll see. Maybe I'll want to do it so I can sell the potions. But
there's at least one point in the main story where you do need to craft a potion.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the beginning, not the tutorial, but it does happen once one other time. Yeah. But yeah, like I save before you try it because like ingredients are finite, and I don't know if you can progress in that part of the game if you don't craft the thing. So
that would not be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was super impressed by it, and it did all the right things for me to want to give it a shot. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, this is a game that I can force myself to be patient with and take my time, and I feel like that's going to make me enjoy it more. And it'll just be good for me. It'll be good for me to have a game like that I'm not feeling like I need to maximize everything I'm doing in it and just let it kind of sit. And I can just walk around. I can play for 2 hours and just walk around a town and talk to people, and that's all I do that day. That's fine. That's very hard for me, but I'm going to force myself to try. So yeah, I mean, we'll check in on KCD2. It's a game I'll probably play 5 to 6 hours a month, maybe more, but it's going to be a slow burn for sure.
Sure.
I don't know if I would describe this next game as a slow burn, maybe a crash and burn, maybe a fast burn. MindsEye.
Yeah.
Kyle bought and played MindsEye, which has a very strong, I believe, 38 on OpenCritic right now.
Yeah. I own a physical copy of this video game. Thank you, Mr. Benzies.
It is a 34. I'm sorry. I don't want to give this game too much credit.
It's a
34 on Metacritic or on OpenCritic.
So, man, I really wish that there weren't all those internal and external saboteurs that ruined this video game. because it really could have been something, man. It's like they created this whole city, this big open world. The story is not an open world video game, but it is set in the open world city.
Mhm.
And when I say that, I mean there are invisible boundaries that if you cross them, you fail a mission.
Awesome.
And so the structure of the video game is that you go somewhere, you watch a cutscene that is very long, always very long, and always very bad. You do a little bit of shooting, which is also very bad. You do a little bit of running, and then you're back in a vehicle.
Wait, how is the running? Is the running very bad?
The running is actually passable. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
It's kinda hard to
you're
mess that
running
up.
in a well. Tell that to fucking what was that vampire game? The arcane vampire game.
Redfall.
Redfall. Yeah, tell that to Redfall.
Fair.
Felt like you were gonna fall through the floor every second. It somehow manages to get running correctly. Man. Okay. You go to a place, you watch a bad cutscene, you do bad combat, you run, you get in a vehicle, you're probably going to watch another bad cutscene in between, and then you drive. And oh my God, do you drive? Because I feel like every objective is across the city from every other objective. And they do this thing where, like, they give you the path you're supposed to take. And if you veer from that, like, GPS path, the game just kind of doesn't work. Like, things aren't spawning in correctly, or they'll have, like, blockades on roads and stuff. It's like they do a lot to stop you from exploring this city, which I don't know why you would, because there is nothing to do in it. It is,
But they made the whole thing.
It's like
That's
Disneyland.
what's just
It's like
Disneyland.
It's like
Just a
the
facade.
basement of my Animal Crossing house is what it's like.
Right. Yeah.
It's the basement of my Animal Crossing
A
house.
facsimile of a video game city.
Yes, totally. And you go to the same locations over and over again, so it's not like there are that many places that you're going. Yeah, man. Every moment of it felt bad. Every cutscene was so long. The driving sequences, like, if I didn't have to drive from mission to mission, God, how long was the game? It was like 11 hours or something. I think it would have been like a 6-hour video game if I didn't have to do any of this driving bullshit. There are missions where you have to follow people and not get too close in the car. There are missions where you're chasing people in the car and it does the rubber banding thing where the car will only get so far ahead, but then it breaks its own rules, and sometimes you get so far behind that it fails you and you got to start it over. There was one mission where I was following this woman in her car, chasing her because she was like evil, blah, bad. She's a bad person. I was chasing her, and it went on so long, I began to think that I was supposed to fail. It was over 10 minutes of me driving and
driving.
Yeah, and the driving, like, 80% of the time it feels competent, and then out of nowhere it'll just break. Like, the physics system will just fucking break. The destruction on the vehicles is not very good. It's like all pre whatever, like, you get hit a certain number of times and everything breaks in the same way every time. The hood, oh man, okay, so your car takes enough damage to the front, the hood pops up and, like, does a little flap thing, and then the animation stops and it just slides physically with no collision back through the car, like, back behind you as you drive through it, because it just loses animation and physics.
Not great.
And it does it the same way every time, no matter what vehicle you're in. And that really feels emblematic of the whole experience, is it's extremely underbaked. They did not have the complexity of systems to support a world like this. They did not have the range of animations and reactions and things to make it feel like a real world or feel like you were having an impact depending on how you're playing. It was just like a complete railroad the entire time. And it was like, I think it's like 11-ish hours if I'm remembering correctly.
Man.
How much is this game?
It was $70.
Really?
It was $70.
Wow.
I am the proud owner. It is not $70 anymore. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, no shit.
I probably could have waited on that one, Holmes. But part of me is glad that I paid $70 for MindsEye, because when I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back across the years of my life, the rich tapestry of my life, the single thread that I can pull to bring me solace is the fact that I beat MindsEye and never had to play it again.
When I'm on my deathbed, reminiscing about the grand tapestry of my life, I will find solace in the idea that with the limited time I had on this earth, I did not spend 11 hours of it playing MindsEye.
Or $70.
Or $70. But that's just, different priorities.
Yeah, different strokes,
different kinds of people,
folks.
Yeah.
So when you beat the game, this is crazy. Okay, well, first, the game crashed on me 5 times in my time with the game. And then when it crashes, you gotta replay what you were playing. It crashed on one of the final cutscenes right before the last sequence, which, God, it takes so long. And it crashed because, turns out, there was just a thing in the game where there was a memory leak, and the longer you played it, the higher chance it was going to have to crash. And so the general practice was at the time, hey, you should just save it and quit out and start the game back over every hour and a half or so. Otherwise, it's probably going to crash. I think they maybe fixed the memory leak issue. I actually don't know if that's true. But it crashed on like one of the final cutscenes. The last cutscene in the video game is fucking nonsense. The story takes a complete turn right at the end, and then the main character does a thing, and then it's just over. The game is just over, and then it dumps you out into the actual open world where they have like a couple racing missions for you to do, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
They dump you onto the open world as this like old dude in a tank top and shorts, and that's the only character model you can have, is this weird old dude in a tank top, and that's how you run around this open world. There's no like customization. You're just this weird
explanation. This person's not in the game at all.
No, you're just there, bro. You just boop, you're in there. And that's the video game. That's what they made. It's
crazy.
Fucking crazy.
Making games is hard.
I didn't know it was that hard.
Well,
other people have made it look easy, I guess.
Since the promotion of MindsEye started, we have learned a lot about the guy that runs that studio.
Yes.
And the things we have learned about him have not been great. They don't put him in a particularly positive light. And it definitely illuminates why this game is the way that it is. Yeah. And also calls into question how he made good games before. What happened? Did he have a stroke?
It wasn't just him, I think, is what happened.
It wasn't just him.
Now it was just...
He was on the leadership team in like GTA 5, right?
Yeah.
And then he made this. It's because a bunch of people were tricking him, you know?
Yeah.
Liars.
The saboteurs at Rockstar.
The saboteurs, yeah. People being paid to write negative reviews.
They just rotted this game from the inside out, man.
Yeah.
That's
MindsEye.
Yeah, that's MindsEye.
I guess. Are you isn't there like a mission builder, a level builder thing in that game too?
Only on the PC version. You can play the stuff that's built on the PS5 version.
You.
But
you gonna check some of that out?
God, what a good question. with an obvious
I bet you some of
answer.
it's pretty dumb. I bet you some of it would be fun.
You know what? I don't know if anyone has made anything.
If
Good
they
point
could
also.
make anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it works. I don't even know if that works.
Right. Well, I played a game that was a cute little game. So we, this past month, did a family trip to my grandparents' little lake house, and we were gone for like a week and a half. I downloaded a bunch of stuff on my Steam Deck that I was like, maybe I'll check some of this out. We just ended up not having a ton of time to play games, and my downtime, I mostly was like napping so I could hear the lake sounds and
Sure.
read my Star Wars books. But I did start and complete the first Cat Quest game I played on Steam Deck. Mostly because like my son loved it. He just like sat over my shoulder and watched me play pretty much the entirety of that game.
Nice.
It's a very simple
Yeah.
action RPG. Looks like a Flash game kind of animation and visual style, but it's got a very charming aesthetic to it, very charming writing, some nice, nods, wink winks to other video games and video game characters. There's I think her name is Kara Loft, cat character who like talks about going into all the caves and tomb raiding and stuff. It's a lot of that kind of thing. The combat's very simple, but it's got a satisfying sort of like level up loop. You're leveling up pretty quick. I think I was like level 65 when I beat the game. And it's all like an isometric sort of 2D, 3D world that you're in. And so it looks a little bit paper crafty, which is also was appealing to me. But yeah, it's a cute little game. There are 2 more. I'm excited to play those at some point.
The
It's
third
going
one
to
was
take
good.
it's going to take another vacation probably before I would play another one, because it's not a game that I'm going to like, yeah, dude, let me grind out some Cat Quest.
Right,
Like
'cause
it
they're
was
all 3 of them are kind of the same kind
sure.
of game.
Yeah, it's like an I'm relaxing and looking to kill an hour. Let me play some Cat Quest because it's cute. It's that kind of game.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in a pejorative way, but it's not like I'm not going to spend my evening booting up my PS5 to play some Cat Quest 2, Yeah, I had a good time with it, and my son will be really excited when I want to boot up the next one.
Nice.
Kyle, you described your gaming journey this month as disassociative.
Yeah.
So there's a 3-pack of games you spent some time with that fall into the idle games, sim games, lifestyle kind of games.
Yeah.
So how do you tell us about some of that stuff?
This is Kyle's Steam disassociation package, if you would like to follow
Create
along.
A gaming playlist.
Yeah. Vending Dokan, this just came out in early access. It is a Japanese vending machines, for the uninitiated are like your kind of replacement. They have gas station stores or whatever, but they're kind of your like replacement for the 7-Elevens convenience store things. Like Japan, they have huge numbers of vending machines. That's where a lot of people get their like gas station food, like we would get in the US. Like they
also underwear. You can get underwear from vending machines there.
Yes. There's also all sorts of fun stuff going on in Japan. You cannot sell underwear that I know of in Vending Dokan. But the whole thing with this is you're running like a street corner. There, like you unlock a bunch of different locations as you go along, but you start out a little alleyway and you like buy your first vending machine and choose what you're going to stock into it and what the prices are going to be. You got to keep it clean, keep the area clean, make sure there's like people are throwing stuff in the trash can, and if they miss, make sure you're picking it up or whatever. And then you are getting, profit, and you can reinvest that profit in more vending machines and more products and new licenses for products and things. And also decorations, because you want the vibes is an actual meter. You want the vibes to be good here. So you because it rains a lot, you want to create awnings for people to stand under and eat the food that they bought or whatever. So it's got like a lot of little decorative, quirky things like that, and it's got like a really cute little simplistic art style, and like I said, you unlock new locations, and so you can in a bunch of new decorative objects and things the more you play. So it's that kind of a loop, and I found that to be very relaxing. A lot of like the music that's in the game is very much like lo-fi chill music that you can turn on or off. You can also turn the sounds of the game on or off. It's got really good rain sound. So it's meant to be sort of like a running in the background idle thing that you check in on and play that way. Or you can play it on like super speed and be more active with it, which is mostly how I played it. That's Vending Dokan. I also played Tower Wizard, which is another game that just came out. This is an idle game. It's not a clicker. It's just an idle game with a really simplified, reduced, sort of like a sunset color palette. And you are a wizard. You're building your tower, and you're trying to like pierce the heavens. And there's this force trying to stop you from doing so. And it's just an incremental buy upgrades to do. You can prestige and then get persistent upgrades that make your next run go faster. It's all that. It's got all that stuff. I beat it in a day. It was like 7 or 8 hours or something like that.
That's a long time.
Well,
for a game like that,
but it's an idle thing. No, I mean, I beat it, not just like prestiged and.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like I did several runs through the prestiging thing, unlock stuff, and then pierced through the final thing and got a little ending screen thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like I like an idle game that you can beat. I found that to be refreshing because a lot of times it just goes infinitely until you're sick of it. So it was nice to be able to beat it. That's Tower Wizard.
It's always nice to beat it.
I love beating it.
Always nice to pierce the sky and beat it.
Erect your tower. The third game on my playlist is TCG Card Shop Simulator, which came out last year, I think. Maybe 2023. I think it's 2024. This is just that simulator slop with like bad graphics, but this time you're running a trading card game shop. And you can also get like board games and sell dice and dice trays and playmats and plushes and posters and stuff too. But it's a lot of opening card packs to sell high value singles and also sell bulk boxes of your low value cards. It's selling sealed packs, sealed boxes, card sleeves, card protectors. It's all that stuff. Setting up tables so people can come in and play and pay like per hour that they play or whatever for the space.
Setting up air fresheners because gamers
are stinky.
I was just gonna say that the game, both the like environments and the NPC models look appropriately sweaty and smelly.
Yes.
Like everyone in this game looks gross.
Yeah, they're all very oily.
There's an air freshener that you actually spray too. Like,
so I purchased. So here's the epic strat. Sometimes one single air freshener spritz is not enough, so I set up 2 by the entrance. So when a stinky person walks in, I make sure they're nice and fresh for the rest of the guests.
Unbelievable.
And I hired a guy who's super fast at the cash register, so I can spend my time putting new singles out as they sell, and deciding, what to price them at as we go along. That's been a very meditative game. The card pack opening in the vanilla game is much too slow because you open a lot of card packs. There's a Steam achievement for opening 10,000 card packs.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But don't worry, Nexus Mods has you because someone made a card pack opening speed thing where like you can hold up to, because you can only hold 8 packs at a time, you can hold up to 1,024 packs and have it set at like crazy speed. So it's like pack. Like none
and then
of
it becomes an idle game.
Yeah. None of the results screens pop or anything. It just fucking goes. And you don't have to click anything. You don't have to hold anything. You don't have to click anything. I will say my pointer finger on my right hand is a little worn out from holding and opening card packs. And so my pointer finger is like kind of worn out. And so I got the mod, and thankfully that has solved some of my pointer finger issues. Yeah. And that's a good one. Cause like I'll have a couple days where I'm just restocking stuff. And then, hey, I got like $5,000. I can buy a license to sell a new kind of product. And then how am I going to shuffle stuff around in my store to fit the new product in? Or I'll buy expansions to the store, which make my rent go up because my square footage is higher. So you got to keep an eye on that too. It's a lot of stuff. And this was Kyle's disassociation playlist for video games.
That's fun though.
It is. It's fun.
Can't wait to see what the simulator next month is.
Dude.
Right?
There will be something.
Cody, I don't know if this fits into disassociation mode for you or if it's more just nostalgia mode or curiosity mode, but you have continued along your Kingdom Hearts journey and you've played how because you hadn't finished Kingdom Hearts 1 last month, correct?
I don't think I had. Yeah, I think
how many Kingdom Hearts games deep are you now?
I have beaten all the first 4 that are actually playable in the collection. So that's Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, 2, and Birth by Sleep. I have beaten all 3 campaigns in Birth by Sleep. The sort of goal, and I think I mentioned last time, is I want to platinum the Kingdom Hearts games, at least the Kingdom Hearts games that have a platinum. I have platinum Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and 2.
Chain of Memories was crazy, bro.
90% through Birth by Sleep. Not including my time spent in Birth by Sleep, which is a lot. I have not calculated that. Those first 3 games, Chain of Memories, and 2, I spent 146 hours and got the platinums for those 3 games.
Shay, you're just like, I don't get that many gaming hours a year.
No. I mean, I do. I'm over 400 hours into Helldivers 2.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
I get gaming time, but it ain't that.
Hard one.
It ain't 142 hours in like a month.
That was in like 2 weeks.
Bro.
Yeah, it was Cody came like during Summer Game Fest. He drove down to Ohio and stayed with me for like a couple days during Summer Game Fest. And then like that entire time was Chain of Memories.
I was there.
Yeah.
I played that literally the entire time I was there. If we were at his house,
and you saved over the wrong file at one point and lost I
did the thing again
hours.
Where Kingdom Hearts. I had a complete save, a save that I had beaten the game on, and I was going back and getting some trophies, and I went to save on the one I had went back on. I meant to save it in a different slot, but I saved over my complete one, so I lost, I don't know, probably 8 hours of time that I had to redo. And Chain of Memories in the 2.5 remix thing. The combat in all of them is sort of just Mash X, but the combat in Chain of Memories is just Mash X.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I could like look the other way and just be mashing X and get through combat. Because in those first 3 Kingdom Hearts games, there's a trophy for hitting level 99.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think there was in 2. But in 1 in Chain of Memories, there definitely was. And in Chain of Memories, you play as Sora and Riku, and both of them had to hit 99. And like, truly, it is just enter a room, get in all the combats in there, just mashing X, leave, re-enter that room, do all the I mean, it is so ungodly tedious.
By the time you got to the ends of those campaigns, you were only like level 40.
Yeah, it was a lot.
You can beat the games
grind.
at like level 40, and so you
crazy.
gotta just grind to 99. Miserable.
As I've been playing these and talking with Kyle as I'm playing them, I don't know that I'll ever play these again after platinuming them. Like not because they're bad, but because I've done quite literally everything that you could possibly do in these games so far.
Yeah.
I have no need to play them again. And frankly, if I ever have to do another fucking gummy ship mission again, I think I'll, I'd rather throw myself off a bridge. But
also for the listeners or watchers, you have already platinumed 3. Correct?
I will.
Okay.
Yes, 3 is done. So, I mean, I have the platinums for 1, Chain of Memories, and 2, which is pretty cool. At least I think so. And Birth by Sleep, I have like 12 trophies left I need to do. It's a lot of just grindy bullshit again.
Yeah.
But Death Stranding came out and I've been playing that. But I will go back to it. So I think the only ones left after Birth by Sleep are Dream Drop Distance. I can get a platinum in.
358/2 is just cutscenes, right?
That's just cutscenes. That I think there's like 2.8, a fragmentary passage or some bullshit.
Right,
I think
that
that
was
might
like
have
the
a platinum trophy.
prequel to 3 that they can't release.
Where you play with Aqua or play as Aqua.
Yeah, but it's like a demo kind of a thing.
Yes, I don't know if that has trophies. Full game. So it might just be Dream Distance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the journey I've been on.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Have you gone so far down the rabbit hole? Like, are you an insane Kingdom Hearts person now? Like, are you all in on the lore and shit?
So it's funny. I wanted to be. I think it's bad, and I don't. I think it's laughably bad, in fact. And I went into trying to watch. I mean, Kyle and I started a 6-hour lore video, and we made it like maybe an hour in. But back to our conversation with
new content idea. Let's pause the recording. New content idea. Party select live reacts to the 6-hour Kingdom Hearts lore video. That sounds like a good fucking time.
It's
just
less
on a Saturday.
It's less fun than you could possibly imagine.
I unfortunately,
because like we mentioned earlier, nobodies are like, there's the rule of like nobodies are meant to reflect the person in which they are a nobody of. And Roxas is a different case. Every character, fucking thing in that game, every character who's important.
It's the exception to the rule. So how would you ever understand what the rules are when all you're presented are exceptions?
Yes.
Absurd.
Yes. And that was our takeaway from these lore videos. Is that none of it makes sense. You can never have a reveal because nothing makes sense.
And guess where the lore video has to start, Shay? Guess where it has to fucking start?
Where?
With the shitty fucking mobile game with awful flash art, because that's the genesis of everything. And I remember that was big. That was big
going into Kingdom Hearts 3, because a lot of that was referencing that mobile game.
Yes,
like the like big area with all the swords,
Keyblade,
like all the keyblades,
graveyard.
The Keyblade graveyard. That was from the mobile game.
Yep. It is so fucking dumb. But I'm saying, I wish I could know everything about it, and at least if I don't think it's good, at least appreciate it. And if you ask me like, why is this, I wanted to be able to give you an answer. But like, I can't, because nothing is. My answer would just be, he just is. He just is.
Yeah, he's just special.
There's no reason. Yeah, right. He's special. And that sucks. That's bad, and it's really, really awful.
Yeah. And that's the stark difference between that and then the Death Stranding nonsense is we can give you I'm not going to say a logical answer, but an answer that is consistent with its own rules.
Yeah, it respects its own world and universe and its rules. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never played any of the other Kingdom Hearts games besides 1, 2, and 3. There's no universe where I would ever go back and play 3 again. That game is abhorrently fucking terrible. But I am very interested in replaying 1 and 2. Which I might do after I finish my nostalgia bait game, which was Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age.
Yeah.
I looked back at my save files. I played that game in 2017, 2018 when it came out. I played it in 2020, right when COVID first happened.
Yeah.
And then I must have quit halfway through and then come back in like 2021 and then now. So this is my third time playing it since it came out 8 years ago. That's a lot of times to play a game that I also played the original version of many times on PS2. So anyway, my intent was
Resident Evil 4.
Sure. I mean, all of them are. Final Fantasy 10, 13. Like, I have a lot of games that are like that. But this is the one that I was vibing with. It was just at a point where I had a weekend and I had several hours to play a game, and I just couldn't force myself to play anything else. And I was just like feeling depressed, and I was like, I need a comfort experience. Final Fantasy 12, let's fucking do it. This was before my KCD2 thing, and now I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I can't try to grind out Zodiac Age. But anyway, my initial approach was, let me do like a weird combo with my characters here. And so I did a bunch of research on like team setups, because the Zodiac Age introduced classes. Because the original version just had the license board where you could spec your character however the fuck you wanted. You could have them use whatever weapons. Everybody could learn Curaga if you wanted. But in this, they have much more defined roles. And you pick a role for a character at the beginning, and then you reach a certain point, which I just did, where you can unlock a secondary role. So what you can do is you could make everybody have, like, there are 12 classes, 6 characters. So everybody could be totally unique, or you could mix and match. You could give multiple white mages, whatever you want to do. And I've done a mixture of that in the past. And what I wanted to do was use all 12 jobs and also sort of combo them differently than I would have in the past with different characters than I would have in the past. So I spent like a whole afternoon researching team makeups and like optimal whatever, not because I intend to go do a bunch of the hidden espers and shit, but just to do something different and fun. So that part of it's been cool to like learn more about the synergies on, oh, your dude that uses poles, your magic attack is actually what powers the strength on your pole, not your strength. So you want to equip that character with mage armor, not heavy armor, even though he's a frontline fighter. So that kind of thing, like it's a way of engaging with this game that I never have because it's not necessary, but it is making it a little bit fresh and different. My kids also love watching it, which always feels weird because I'm killing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's mostly like monsters. It's mostly not people, right? So it's
yeah.
I can get away with it. But I'm shocked by how much they enjoy watching me play Final Fantasy 12. I did the classic Ogre Yensa, Nem Yensa Sansi grind where you can build up a huge battle chain by killing the same dudes over and over again. I think it was like a 250 battle chain before I was like, all right, it's time for me to move on. And my kids just sat there and watched me the whole time. There was one moment, because I put it on 2x speed, and the way that my gambits were set up, I didn't even have to touch anything. They just fight. And I was playing it, and I was just using my left thumb on the thumbstick to run area to area. And I was like eating malted milk balls with my right hand. And my daughter's like, are you even playing this video game? And I was like, I'm so good at playing this video game that I don't have to play this video game.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I mean, plenty of reminiscing I can do on Final Fantasy 12. But
to new possibilities.
Yeah,
look, Penny,
totally
you get so good at video games, you don't even have to play them anymore. Be like your dad.
Someday. But yeah, it's been a really good time. I could wax poetic about that game forever, but I won't. I will just say Vaughn is so fucking annoying. Yes. He makes me cringe every time he talks. However, Balthier and Fran are like two of the all-time great video game characters, so it's great. Like it balances out. Yeah, Balthier is just the way he references himself as like the leading man. It's just so badass. He's so cool.
He's the Leon of Final Fantasy 12. I'm going to keep making this comparison.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong though. I mean, I always said he was the Han Solo. It's like the closest you'd ever get to fantasy Han Solo.
Totally.
And, so of course he's awesome. But yeah, I love that game to death. It is so much fun. And I'm, going to enjoy continuing. I need to find a binder for the guide because all of the pages have broken off because I've owned that guide since the PS2 game came out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I didn't buy like a Zodiac Age guide. I just use the old one. And,
sure.
And plenty of stuff is different, but the stuff that is different is better. Because like in the original game, there were like half a dozen chests that if you opened one of them, you couldn't get the best weapon in the game. Which is so asinine. It's like it forces you to buy the guide. So like that kind of thing they've stripped out. Thankfully, they made a lot of improvements to the Zodiac Age. I still don't know if I prefer the job system compared to like the open license board system. It's just two different ways of playing, and so I can appreciate both styles.
Yeah,
but yeah, love that game.
Yeah.
That's our playlist. That's everything we've been playing. July, I think, is going to be really interesting. Once we get into like the game releases, because there's not a lot of heavy hitters. So I think we're going to have a pretty eclectic July playlist, much like this month was pretty eclectic.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Let's dive into critical hits. Cody, I'm not trying to oversell this, but in the doc, under your critical hit, you wrote, I made a purchase, no spoilers. So like
No
I have some
spoilers.
anticipation about what this is going to be. So it better not be super underwhelming or I'm going to be bummed.
Well, it
But what
doesn't
purchase
impact
did
you
you
in
make?
any way. So
No,
I
but it's
mean,
still like exciting to like hear about it.
sure. The purchase also has no spoilers for what it's worth.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
I bought a boat.
What?
Yeah, I bought a boat.
Do you live on water?
Like right next to water.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Close enough. Yeah. I don't have like my own dock or anything, but there's public boat launches all around.
Yeah, all around.
I live on essentially on a smaller lake called Mona Lake that attaches to Lake Michigan, but also my parents live near Lake Spring Lake, which also attaches to Lake Michigan. We're on boats enough that we wanted one for our own use. It's nice
Fun.
It's a whole new world. I'm in the midst of taking boating license classes. I'm learning all about boats and
Nice.
how to maneuver them.
Classic.
I've not taken
buy
it
the
out
boat
yet.
before you get educated.
That's right.
Classic.
We've not taken it out for the maiden voyage yet.
Is
there's
that a
still some
state by
things-
state thing that like you need a license to drive a boat? Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
drive a boat
Everywhere.
in Indiana.
You shouldn't be. But no,
I mean, by that I mean to say I've never driven the boat in Indiana.
Yeah, there are no
definitely
water
is-
cops on that
Right.
lake in Indiana. No
It
one gives a
definitely
shit.
is state by state. In Michigan, if you're born before, I think it's 1996, you do not need to have a license
Interesting.
to pilot a boat.
Well, you were born before 96.
Correct. I don't need one, but I also don't know how to drive a boat or what any of the rules are or anything.
I got
so,
you.
I mean,
It's
I
more about
still-
you want the education, not the
Correct.
It's also
Um,
different driving a boat through the channels onto Lake Michigan than the
Yes.
tiny lake
Of course.
in Indiana.
And what's interesting is I don't know why this is, but so it's like 96 for a boat, the cutoff for a boat if you need a license, but it's like 1970 something for jet skis. So if
Interesting.
you're born after 1970, whatever, you do
That
need
makes
a
sense.
license.
A jet ski would
for
be
a
more
jet ski.
dangerous.
Yeah.
But like I guess if you're in your 60s or whatever, you don't need to know how to do that and can just go out there and do
You
it.
just fucking rip it, dude.
You're just born with it.
Boomers get
But
all
yeah,
the privilege,
so-
you know?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
a couple weekends ago, my dad was over. We were doing some yard work. Me and him went down to the dump. We had passed a boat that was in really, really, really nice condition that someone was selling on the side of the road. It was a 1989 boat. They were selling for $7,000. I tried and worked with them. In the end, I didn't buy that one. They were not great people and weren't willing to work with me to like go get it inspected and do my due diligence to make sure I'm getting something that isn't busted. That deal fell through. I hopped on Facebook Marketplace because I had the itch. I was so close to owning a boat, so I hopped on the marketplace. I found this one for $3,700.
Wow.
The trailer alone's probably $1,000 of that. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're really looking at like a $2,700 boat here. It's 1987. A couple years older, and yeah, it's definitely got some more wear and tear on the outside. I need to get a pressure washer and clean it up a bit, vacuum on the inside. But I mean, it's perfect for us. It's got an open bow, so you can sit up in the front. It's got a bench seating in the back, 2 bucket seats for the pilot or captain and co-captain. It's got an inboard motor. Runs great. I got to actually ride on it. The guy selling it took us out on the water. Try it out. It used to have the name on the back with like someone had done the acrylic painting was Bikini Judge.
Yeah,
Which I think is pretty great. You can't see the art is not there anymore, but you can see like the ghosting where the letters were.
Amazing.
I'm still calling it Bikini Judge until Tess wants to change it. I mean, for
I
obvious
would
reasons.
imagine so, yes.
I want to get the Bikini Judge
Bikini
out there
Judge
while
2.
she's still.
Electric Boogaloo.
We're thinking of calling it remote work, which is pretty fun since
That's
we both
good.
work from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually bringing it out. I drove my parents' boat for the first time this past weekend. That was the first time ever operating a boat before. So I was trying to get a feel for it. Obviously, theirs is much newer, much nicer and controls a little bit differently than the one I have. but it was still good to get some exposure. And yeah, that's our summer adventure. We just really would just want to go out, anchor somewhere, take the dogs out and just read. And,
that's
and
awesome.
that's what
Have
we
a
want
picnic.
out of the boat. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't bring kids if you want to do that, because I wanted to do that a bunch at the lakes. I brought my book. We went on a boat ride. I put the little
the bimini
thing over the top to get me out of the sun, crack open my book, and then, babe, come on, get in the water with the kids. They want to play with you. And I'm like, shit, I should go be a good dad, but I want to read. Ironically, I also made a large purchase in the state of Michigan during that trip. And I didn't think about the fact, obviously, Cody, that you're in Michigan, because like where we were visiting in Indiana is right on the border. It's like a 20-minute drive to the state line. And there's something in Michigan that's like legal that isn't legal in Georgia or Indiana. And so my wife and I were like, hey, let's go legally buy some stuff in Michigan. And we ended up going, and it was a really bizarre experience.
I bet.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. It's not illegal for me to talk about buying something that is legal in a state. But we went to a weed shop in Michigan, and you have to like check in your ID, and the gate's locked, and you have to be assigned at a register with a single person. I guess just because of all the regulations.
Yeah.
And the dude was super chill. Like we don't know what we're doing, right? But we weren't like, oh my gosh, we're so crazy. We're buying some weed and some gummies. We were very much like, please guide us. We don't know what we're doing here. And we ended up spending like $250 just buying some like pens and gummies and the like chocolate cone things, and just to try some different stuff. But that was a very fun experience.
Yeah,
and
I don't partake, but my wife does, and our friends do when they're up here. And from my experience and from what it sounds like, every place they've been to is like the people there are really knowledgeable and really nice.
They were awesome.
And like really
super patient with us, like explaining the different kinds, the indica versus the whatever versus the hybrid, and what all that does.
It's just
and
craft
also,
beer all over again, man.
Yes, I should qualify and say, like, I'm not interested in all of the nuance of the different bud, right? Like, we didn't buy any bud. We bought pens and gummies and that kind of thing because we were going to be traveling and we didn't want to have weed with us. Because that's a crime. You know what I'm saying? But not for us. We're white people. But he was like describing just how different stuff affects you differently and the different dosages and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's just interesting to me. Underneath is like all the different kinds of Northern Lights and all the different fancy names. And we didn't get into any of that because we're not trying to smoke and roll and do all the business. But it's still cool to see. Cool to be in there. And everybody's very nice.
And you know, Michigan also doesn't have any state liquor stores, so like every grocery store you go to is going to have a full shelf of liquor, and it's available 24/7.
In Indiana, you can get liquor at like Walmart sold vodka in Indiana, which me being in Georgia is crazy talk. Like you can't buy liquor on a Sunday before 12:30 in Georgia. It's fucking backwards bullshit.
Yep,
everything's stupid. Fucking Christians, man.
Jesus.
I say as a Christian. Anyway, that wasn't my critical hit.
Because you should be in church, Shay.
You
should
buying
not be
a
at the
boat
store buying
made
alcohol.
me think of me buying stuff in Michigan, which was also fun. Not boat level, but fun nonetheless.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. That's very fun. We're gonna have to like live stream from the boat at some point.
Yes. Kyle, we'll have to figure out. We'll get like a little generator and bring a CRT out on the boat and play some games.
Dude, don't fucking tempt me with a good ass time, bro. Hell yeah.
That's fun.
Play Dave the Diver on a CRT.
Perfect.
On a boat.
Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, tell me about the Fearzine that you added to your critical hit.
Yeah, I was watching MinMax, and they have the little, like, you can pay for a little ad spot. They have a little thing that cycles, a box on their screen that cycles during their podcasts. And I saw this thing that said Fearzine, and it was like the picture of a book. I was like, the hell is that? So I looked it up. It's an independently owned and operated physical and digital magazine focused on horror games, especially titles from indie studios and individuals. So, because there are a lot of like really interesting kind of genre bending, more retro style indie horror games that are coming up that I find very like that scene is very active right now. You have Blumhouse Games coming in and helping like publish a few of them, but outside of that, it's a lot of like cool indie scene stuff happening. So it's like a sort of like a quarterly, I think is the attempt, but maybe like 3 issues a year or something like that. But you can go and buy the individual issues. They have interviews with these developers, write-ups on their favorite horror games from years past. Kind of
Parasite Eve is on there.
Yes, they have exposés on classic games and stuff like that. But I just because I'm getting back in touch with my desire for physical reading material. Like I subscribe to the Game Informer magazine now that that's active again, and we should be getting that sometime in the next few days. I believe it's shipping now.
The digital edition is live.
Yes, yeah. I've subscribed to the Video Game History Foundation. I do their donation thing, so I get an old video game magazine every month from them. And I was just like, what's like I love horror. I play a ton of horror games. Like it's one of my favorite genres. And here's a thing that exists that feels like it was just made for me. And that's awesome. So I just wanted to shout that out because it looks really interesting. They it was a whole crowdfunded thing for their first issue, which is digital only. The second issue is digital and physical, and then that's how it's going to be going forward. Their third issue is about to release, and so when I made my order of the second and third issue, they're like, hey, if it's cool to save on cost on our end, is it okay if we just send you the second and third at the same time? And I was like, yep, that's totally fine, because like it's a very small outfit of people that are doing this.
Did they reach out to you 1-to-1 about that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's it's not cheap. It's $15 an issue, and then they're shipping on top of it, right? So like it's a boutique thing. But it's also not like a tiny magazine. It's it's a little more. I think it's bigger. It's a little more substantial, of an issue size, especially because it's quarterly. But yeah, it's just like the people beating the street, doing interviews and writing about things that they're passionate about that intersect with my interests, and I want to support that. And I get to have another cool physical thing to hold in my hands and engage with, and I find that super exciting. So. Probably the Venn diagram of people that are like me that listen to this podcast is very small. Maybe there's one of you out there that would be interested in a thing like this. But hey, Fearzine, fearzinemagazine.com. Go check them out. I have not read yet. It's like I can't speak to the quality of writing or whatever, but I'm gonna find that out hopefully relatively soon before the next podcast. And then and be able to maybe talk about how it's received by me at a later date. But yeah, I wanted to shout that out because it was a recent discovery from me. So that's pretty cool.
It'll be another cool. Magazine to go in your inevitable magazine rack.
Dude, I don't have space for a magazine rack. I want one so fucking bad. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure something out because I've been trying to find a way to get my comics in my house. Yeah. And now that I'm I don't get a lot of magazines, but like Game Informer, I don't want it to just disappear into a box somewhere. Right. So if there's a way that I could combine and have a couple of my trade paperbacks maybe just on a shelf and put the magazines up there, I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah. Or maybe like if you're going to reread a comic series, have a spot for that series that you're rereading. You can cycle them out. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to get the Game Informer magazine. I got the email that the like digital version was available, and I was like, but I want the physical one.
I'm waiting.
Maybe we should chat about that next month on the pod, just kind of like talk through stuff
what that experience is like. And
yeah, man, I miss that so much.
Yeah.
All right, well, kind of my thing I wanted to chat about, and I don't know, I mean, spend however much time makes sense to talk about it, but I wanted to go back and talk about the Xbox ROG Ally X, which was announced at the Microsoft Showcase as part of Summer Game Fest, and we just didn't really talk about it a ton. I mean, they showed a lot of details about it, not price, but there's going to be 2 different models. They've got sort of like their entry level 15 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage. And then they have the more premium version that is 24 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of hard drive space. And I should also say the entry level one is white, which looks very clean.
Yeah.
And the bigger one is the typical black color. I also love what is different than the actual ROG Ally X, not the Xbox ROG Ally X, but the ROG Ally X, is shaped very much like a Steam Deck. And playing my Steam Deck a ton on the trip, what I noticed was like my thumbs. I mean, I got small hands. My thumbs were starting to not feel so good.
Interesting.
Just like achy because of how you hold it. But the Xbox ROG Ally X has like more of a controller.
Yeah,
feel,
it's just
where
an
it's
Xbox controller on the sides.
Yeah, like I don't know what you call the things. Like the
has the handles
jut out,
or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Handles. Yeah, handles. And that is very appealing to me, both visually as well as like ergonomically. Seems like it would be a better fit.
Yeah, it's just like the PlayStation Portal, where it's like they slapped a screen in the middle of a DualSense. It looks like they slapped a screen in the middle of an Xbox controller. Obviously,
but the
Xbox ROG Ally X
robust.
It's its own contained computer system. It's not just a streaming device. It has hardware in
the
it.
PlayStation Portal looks flimsy in my opinion, because
also.
of how the screen is in the middle.
Yeah.
But I mostly just wanted to talk about it with the sense of like, what do you guys think we can expect from Xbox when they actually think about their new console? Because the point of this is, like, on the ROG Ally, it runs Windows, but it runs Windows, like PC Windows, which is not a great experience.
Correct.
This, the way they've talked about it, and they've been pretty explicit in saying, like, this is an adapted version of Windows designed to be, like, gaming forward.
Yeah.
And you have all your different
friendly UI. Like their version of Steam Big Picture mode.
Right, exactly. But you can get all your different storefronts, but it's operating on Windows rather than like the Steam OS, like on the Steam Deck, and you need to not hack your way out of that on Steam Deck, because you can just like boot, PC mode, but then it's like a PC, and that doesn't work great in your hands with controls.
Right.
So presumably wanting to make more of a consumer-oriented, high-volume product coming from Microsoft and Xbox, you can make a fair assumption that it's going to be more user-friendly than like the Steam Deck would be, which is also appealing to me. I'm not going to go buy this because I have a Steam Deck. I barely play. I don't need to buy another handheld. But if I didn't have a Steam Deck, I would be super interested in this. But I think the bigger conversation is like, when you think about the new home console Xbox, if they make one, what's that going to be? Is it going to be this, but a home console? Like, is it going to boot in Windows mode with all the different storefronts?
I mean,
is it going to boot into a game's Xbox UI?
You don't put all this effort into making this new version of your operating system to have it be for handheld device. Like, the new Xbox is going to be a computer that runs this version of Windows, and that plays into their everything is an Xbox whatever thing. Like, they want Windows on everything because, reportedly, the number of devices that have Windows installed has gone down. So they want to get actual Windows, even if it's this big picture mode Windows, on more devices, because that's more things installed. They're collecting more data. They're selling more licenses. They're getting more people in their ecosystem where they can control and gather data and sell it and use it to power missile systems over in the Middle East and whatever else. So like it all plays into that shit. So like the new console is gonna, part of that strategy has to be feature parity and experience consistency across devices. If you're gonna have everything as an Xbox, you're gonna want it to feel, look, and act very much the same no matter where you are. And I feel like that's what the vision has to be. I can't imagine anything else, frankly. It would be nonsensical if it wasn't.
I would be very surprised if they didn't repeat their current approach, which is like the entry-level Xbox console is disk driveless. Like, I think they probably still have to have a home console version that has a disk drive, because there are plenty of people that want to buy a disc. But with Game Pass, with their different storefronts, like, I foresee them leaning even more heavily into a digital-oriented library of games.
Right, because that transfers device to device, right? It's account wide. So
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, like if you go buy the Xbox ROG Ally X, go buy the Xbox Series X2, and it's a super seamless experience between your different storefronts.
Yeah.
Just one of them you can plug a disc in, and the other one, although that begs the question, like, can you plug a disc in your Xbox home console and then play the game digitally on your handheld, you
Probably not.
have to be able to do that, but that seems, I don't know. If it's your library, right? Like you would think.
That's
not
how it works on
games
PlayStation or anything like that either.
Yeah, you're right. It's not.
Physical games are just limited.
Annoying.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what that would. I don't know what that would be, because for me, as someone who doesn't, I'm not a Xbox user first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, they've reduced through Game Pass. They've minimized, almost completely eliminated my need to ever even own an Xbox. And I know not everyone's in my situation to where they have a PC that they can do that with.
But that's why they're exploring these other solutions like the Xbox ROG Ally X. They're trying to get their Xbox app, which will probably be, UI consistent with whatever their Windows Big Picture mode looks like on any number of devices, like on phones and other shit like that. Like they're going to try and find ways to get you in their ecosystem no matter the device. I think that's what that looks like.
What's interesting to me though, and this is, I don't know if this is really in the spirit of the question, and I don't want to belabor this too long or anything, but I wonder if I would be, and I don't think I would be, but I wonder if I would be the same way I am with Xbox games, wherein it's coming out on the console and I can play on Game Pass on PC. I'm always going to choose Game Pass on PC.
Yeah.
If I would be the same way with PlayStation. If games launch day and date on PC as they did on PS5, would I also choose PC? And I don't think I would, and I don't know why.
You want the trophies.
Yeah, but even without that,
but
I mean,
let's say there was a PlayStation app on PC where you could play like
there
native.
There is, and you can get trophies on your account.
Oh well, there you go.
Oh really?
Yes, for the game that they put on PC
on Steam.
On Steam, you log into your PlayStation account, and you can still get trophies for those.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't buy those on PC then? That I would have assumed the reasoning is you want the trophies, which I also definitely would understand. But if that isn't an obstacle, why would you want to buy them on the console?
There's something about that experience that I don't know though. I don't know
because
I can plug a controller into my
controller in,
and it's the same thing.
I do it. Like there is a certain, like let's say these video game companies stop selling you bespoke boxes. There is a dissolution of the identity of these corporations in my mind, and this is the way I work. I need to see a thing to remember it exists. Like I don't think about video games in my Steam library ever. The only games I think about, and part of the reason why I play the same games all the time, is because my default Steam window is on my home page, which is the last few games that I have played. Those are the only games I actually see of my Steam library. But I have a giant bookshelf of video games in the other room, and I see all those video games every day. And I know what games I have, and I know the options I have to play, and I think about that way more than I think about these ephemeral licenses that I hold.
Library.
If I'm not seeing a PlayStation, I don't know that I'm really thinking about PlayStation. I'm just thinking about playing a game. And I feel like Xbox is getting to the point where, for me, I'm not thinking about Xbox. I don't think about Xbox. I think about Gears and Halo sometimes, but I don't think about Xbox as a brand.
And it's not a one-to-one, but Xbox is far more interested in competing with Steam than they are in competing with Sony.
Yeah.
They want to have a storefront, and they want you to be in their ecosystem, playing games within their ecosystem.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
publishing games and making games.
I'm not saying this is a problem necessarily. It's just a thing that has happened to me. Because I don't have a Series X or S. I have an original Xbox One that I do not use.
But that's the thing. Like, if you have a gaming PC there is literally no reason to own an Xbox Series X.
Right.
Period.
But so I don't
because
think about the
essentially
brand
your gaming PC is an Xbox. That's the whole
correct,
thing.
yes.
Because you use Game Pass.
Yeah.
You can plug your controller, and if that's how you prefer to play it, all of the games are available on your PC and on the Xbox. There's no reason to own it.
Yeah.
I don't have a gaming PC, so I have an Xbox Series X.
Right.
But this thought has come into my mind. I don't want to lose Game Pass when they launch the next console. But I also don't want to buy an Xbox when all of their exclusives will be available on other storefronts and other consoles. I will buy a PS6 because their games will be exclusive and I want to play those on my PlayStation.
I see what you're saying.
So my difficulty is like, do I buy a new Xbox just for Game Pass?
Or do you just buy a new PC?
That feels weird. Versus, let me just spend the money and buy spend $1,000, get an out of the box mid-range PC that'll last me for several years and not have the console that way. That's been in my mind.
I would hazard a guess
if I could get a good PC for $1,000.
I would hazard a guess the next actual Xbox console is gonna be like an $800 console.
Yeah,
because they're gonna want it to be some sort of like a premium experience.
The rumor is that the top tier of the Xbox ROG Ally X is going to be $800 fucking dollars.
Right.
Because that's how much the premium ROG Ally X is.
Right.
Which
it's
to me
$800.
feels antithetical to their whole marketing thing of this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox. You would think that if you're going to say, hey, your TV is an Xbox and this box that we're selling you is an Xbox, but your experience on this box is going to be dramatically better than what the experience on your TV is.
Right.
Then they're not really the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. For people like us that give a shit. But if they want to launch an Amazon Fire TV style device that lets you stream games through xCloud exclusively on your TV, right?
Yep.
Like that experience is going to be dog shit for us, but people that play Madden and Call of Duty aren't going to care.
Right.
Sure.
That's the vast majority of the market.
They're going to make a new console for the sickos. And they're going to hope that they make their money back on that. And in order to do that, it's going to be expensive. Because the sickos are going to buy it no matter what. They're going to find a way to afford it and buy it.
You're probably right.
So it's going to be premium price. And hopefully, like, premium execution as well. You know, Sarah Bond was out there saying, oh, it's going to be the biggest generational leap we've ever had. Which is probably 95% not true.
Would love to hear if she thinks this generational leap was a big one.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, it's weird. So like I'm having this like, so because when you went to college, Shay, you took the PS3 with you and I had the 360 at home. And so for a long time, I went from being like a primarily Sony gamer to basically strictly a Microsoft gamer for a while. And then I ended up getting my own PS3 and then PS4 in college and stuff, went back to being primarily Sony. But for a while there, I still do have a lot of attachment to the Xbox game properties. But the idea of caring about Xbox as a brand continues to mean less and less over time for me because I don't have a new box that enters my field of vision. I do not see Xbox, and therefore I do not think about Xbox. I think about their properties.
It doesn't help that they're those treasured, precious properties they just do nothing with.
Correct. Well, yeah, that's
else.
certainly not helping.
The way that they have built their publishing house has been so different too, because originally Xbox, like on the original Xbox and 360, they had those IP and they had those internal studios that were crushing it, but they were very few of them. And then in the past decade, they've just spent like crazy to acquire a bunch of well-known studios that had already been established prior to being absorbed by Xbox. Your Rares and Obsidians and now friggin' Bethesda and Activision, like huge studios that have existed for years and years. And so they don't feel identifiable as Xbox studios.
Right.
Because they have their own identity already.
Yep.
That's different than Sony. Sony's
That's
had a big stable of first-party studios since the PlayStation 1 era. And there are studios like Naughty Dog and Insomniac and stuff that have existed prior to being absorbed by Sony that had their own identity and their own IP. But it's been so long that now they feel like Sony studios.
Yeah.
Maybe in 20 years, Bethesda will feel like a Microsoft studio. But like, are they even going to exist in the way that they do in 20 years? Like, that's a different question entirely.
Well, yeah.
But I think
if
that's
this
part
week
of
is anything to judge
why
by,
you
the
feel
answer
that
is
way,
no.
Kyle. Well, sure. But I think that's part of why you feel the way that you do is even in the Xbox era, there weren't the kinds of studios, and there are not the kinds of studios now like Sony has. It's just a different approach to building their portfolio.
Yeah.
And like Microsoft is literally the biggest video game publisher there is now.
Yes.
But it's because they've acquired a fuck ton of studios and other publishers in the past 5 to 10 years. It's not been organic
all the good
growth.
That's doing them.
Well, yeah.
Oh, it's doing a few of them very good. It's just the rest of them that's hurting. Yeah, so it's an interesting. I'm glad you brought this up, Jay. It's an interesting thing to think about. It's just hard to feel good about any of it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what.
Like there's no part of this. The whole this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox. Nothing about that excites me.
Because it doesn't matter where the fuck I'm playing it if there's nothing exciting to play.
Right.
Yeah. I think like in a world where there were good games happening, their approach would make a lot of sense and would be exciting for my exact use case that I can buy the new Xbox console, I can invest in a PC, I can buy the Xbox ROG Ally X. Any of those solutions will enable me to play Xbox games. Like, that's cool to have that choice.
Sure.
That's not been the case. You have to buy a 360. You have to buy a PS3, or you just don't get to play the best video games there are. That would be cool. The problem is there aren't games.
Yeah.
There aren't games to play.
Yeah.
That would make you want to do that. Game Pass is the thing. And most of the value of Game Pass is not from first-party studios. It's from a whole host of other games that are being on that platform. I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
It's just an interesting conversation, an interesting thought experiment. I think the thing that scares me the most is the rumor that they're going to announce a new console next year. Because, like, it's only been 5 years, and also you guys have barely done jack shit.
And also the economy is
a lot of money on this.
The economy is so bad right now. Unemployment is crazy. And the whole tariff bullshit, like the economy is bad. And the idea of like shelling out money for another console after the Switch 2 just came out, like there are a lot of people that can't afford to get the Switch 2 right now. And like can't afford to make that happen.
However,
or justify it, frankly. But that's a different issue.
They don't care.
Well,
if you're a fan, you'll find a
buys
way.
it, like
the Randy Pitchford playbook.
Yeah, the Randy Pitchford.
If you're a fan, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
That's Nintendo's ideology. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to work out for them, but that's their approach.
But it works for Nintendo because there is no other way.
Give us $500.
There is no other way to play Nintendo's games.
Give us $80 for Super Mario fucking Mario Kart.
No, fuck you, Nintendo. Yeah. All right. Anyways, that's probably good for that. I don't want to.
We're starting to get angry.
I'm starting to get mad. We should move on.
You're not wrong. Let's chat about Fantasy Critic.
Oh, sure.
If you have not seen it, we did our second round of our draft after Summer Game Fest, where each of us picked 6 more games and a counter pick that's, we either don't think it's going to come out or we don't think it's going to be as good from someone else's roster. I would say for our existing rosters, nothing has really changed in terms of where we're stacking up. Because Kyle and June, you didn't have anything come out, and you're the one that's like kind of playing catch up with a lot of that stuff. And
spoilers, I'm not gonna catch up.
We'll see what happens, man. We drafted 6 new games, but those games we drafted have not come out yet. So the July or the June releases and even most of July is most of our like original releases. But Cody did make a lot of headway in June. Mario Kart World rather has an 86, which is 16 points, and Death Stranding 2 is sitting at a 90, which is 20 points. So you're making headway. We were neck and neck, and we're still neck and neck, but those are two very, very solid showings.
For sure.
In July, Cody has EA Sports College Football, which was a new game that you drafted, and Wheel World. Was that a new one, or was that part of the original list?
That was part of the draft. No, it's down here at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So both of those are coming out for Cody in July. Kyle's got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which should be very solid in terms of score. And then I think it was my first pick in our most recent draft was Tony Hawk 3 and 4 Remaster. So July will be a big month too. 4 games across our 3 different rosters that'll come out. So we'll check in with that and see if there were any surprises in the next flagship pod. All right, let's talk about what's coming out in July.
Okay.
It's a very long list. We'll go through chronologically. So Kyle, I guess you're getting us started with a couple of these.
Sure. On the 10th of July, which when is this episode going? It's going on the 7th. So in just a few days, Myco Punk is entering early access. This is a sort of a retro graphics. It's an interesting graphical style, sort of pixelated. It's a first-person co-op mission-based shooter. So sort of like Firebreak, I guess. But it's got like a lot of like really good movement, very cool visual style. Everything's like very mushroom themed. Myco being the key prefix there. But that's entering early access on the 10th, and that's only on PC though. So it's exclusive to PC. Then on the 11th, we have Patapon 1+2 Replay coming to PS5, Switch, and PC. I was very bummed out to find out there's no physical edition of this. That's a huge bummer. I don't know if I'm going to buy it because there's no physical. I feel like I would just play the originals. This made me sad. Patapon 2 that's probably in my top 100 games of all time. That game is very, very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
On the 11th as well, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4, as Shay mentioned, coming out for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, PS4, Xbox One, Switch 1, and PC.
And that, I think, is hitting Game Pass.
Yes, it is.
Yes, that is on Game Pass.
That'd be a good one to check out.
Then on the 14th, I added Dawn Apart. This is sort of like a Factorio factory-based sort of top-down chunky graphics. It's a simulation factory game.
Oh, yeah.
I love all about those.
Yeah, it's like isometric.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
I'm looking at it on Steam. I like the voxel stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That does look cool. Is this going to be co-op? Single player. Boo.
Yeah.
I would play this with you otherwise. Okay. I didn't know about that one. Good ad.
Well, there you go.
On the 15th is Destiny 2, the Edge of Fate expansion. And that's coming to all the places Destiny 2 is. Any interest in checking out the new Destiny expansion?
No.
Do we feel like, what was the last one? 'Cause my assumption with the last one was that it was the final one.
Of that story, it was, right? Like that wrapped
this
up
is the
story
new
with
story.
The Traveler or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I think, the launch of the next thing.
Oh. So you don't want to check that out, Cody? I guess I didn't realize it was the start of the new thing.
See, here, this goes back to our conversation earlier. I don't know. Have I already missed one? Is this the beginning, or have I already missed one?
I guess we need to find out.
I don't think you've missed one.
I feel like I've not seen anything about this then. If this is like the beginning of
weird,
the new
right?
thing.
It's weird, right?
Because
new destination, Kepler. Sorry, I'm writing a description.
Because didn't they do like the Star Wars
start
stuff?
of a new narrative arc?
Oh, okay. This is the beginning.
Okay. I feel like because the Star Wars stuff was just like in between fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To buy time for this,
I would play the story of this. Like if you guys wanna,
that's all I'm interested in.
I was gonna say this and I was like, okay, I caught myself. I'm not gonna say this, but now I'm gonna say it because it's funny. if you guys want to have a threesome and play some Destiny 2, if you guys want to edge together,
I'm back out.
In some Destiny 2,
I'm out.
I would totally play it. I haven't played Destiny in like 2 years.
Let's dock in and play some Destiny, boys.
Ugh. Get on that boat. Play some
play some Destiny 2, the Edge of Fate on a CRT on your boat over hotspot.
Yes.
So that's on the 15th.
Okay, well that's actually
that could be.
I would totally play that.
Okay.
I'll how much is it?
That's a good
Maybe
question.
that's the question.
That's a good question.
Probably like 40,
because they have
right?
said because they're doing more of like 2 big expansions a year now.
$40.
Okay.
That's a lot to just play through a couple hour story mode.
It's not going to be
if you
a
guys
couple
wanna
hour
play it-
story mode. It'll be more than that.
You think so?
Their story, it's usually like, I feel like it usually takes more like 10 hours or more to do
For
story
what it's worth, I
stuff.
thought that last expansion was
It was cool. There was cool
pretty
stuff
cool.
in there.
Yeah.
It was like a very different art focus, like
Uh-huh.
art direction,
Yeah.
which was kind of neat. A lot more neon, like neon pastel almost. Weird.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. Maybe we'll do that.
I'm down.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Also on the 15th, Eric's Home, The Stolen Dream. This was at Summer, I don't know if it's Summer Game Fest or one of the other
Yes.
things, but it's coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This is that narrative stealth game where it's kind of isometric. And I think it's, I don't know if it's not French. It's like Belgian or something, or
Yeah,
Polish.
I think it's like Western European.
Western European. Yeah, that makes sense. Sort of a period piece, stealth action game.
Scandinavia.
Thank you. It looked interesting. This kind of captured.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay, it kind of
I think that's what
captured
they call that.
my imagination when they showed it off. So that's on the 15th as well. On the 17th, 2 days later, is Donkey Kong Bonanza on the Switch 2. I really hope this performs well because I need something to play on my Switch 2. And also, it's on my Fantasy Critic, so I have skin in the game.
Also on the 17th is RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business, which is DLC for RoboCop Rogue City. It is a standalone DLC, so you don't need to own... I guess it's not even technically a DLC. You don't need to own RoboCop Rogue City to get this. But it's available on all the same stuff.
About this.
You played the game.
I
you
didn't
played
beat
RoboCop,
it.
right?
I played a chunk of it, and it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
It's how I would classify that. I'm not going to say it was really good, but it was way better than it had any right to be. So this could be
also on the 17th is Shadow Labyrinth for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, Switch 1, and PC. This is that like weird 2D side-scrolling like alternate take on Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Fucking weird ass game.
Yeah. I heard that game has a lot of like weird was it Capcom? Pac-Man's Capcom, right?
Yes.
Namco.
Right?
Yeah.
Namco.
I heard there's a lot of like weird Namco lore hidden in Shadow Labyrinth. There's so just some weird referential stuff going on, which is interesting. I don't want to play it because I don't care like for that format of game, but I'm very interested to hear the stories that come out of it from that kind of stuff.
It looks cool. It does look cool.
Yeah.
On the 18th is Fretless: The Wrath of Riftsun. I literally learned about this game today.
Okay.
From my boy Skill Up. This is PC only. This is a rhythm-based action RPG, pixel sort of art, but you play like a musician and all of your attacks are through music. It looks very, very, very cool.
The art is good.
This might be if I can figure out like if this is a good Steam Deck game, it seems like it would translate.
Seems like it
I'm
would.
super interested in Riftsun. Fretless, The Wrath of Riftsun.
I kind of in the first like 5 words of the Steam description is in this turn-based RPG. I really wish that it's in tuned based.
Oh,
I feel like that's
man.
a crazy.
They did
missed
say, I don't know
opportunity.
if it's in the description, but they did call it at some point a guitar PG, which is
Okay,
good.
that's also
Okay.
very good.
Yep. More of that.
Yes. Let's see. On the 19th is EA Sports College Football 26 on Xbox Series S and X, PS5, and PC. And then on the 21st is the World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria Classic expansion full release. Currently it is in pre-patch and available to play, but the full launch is on the 21st.
Cody, you and I are gonna play some of that this weekend over the long
Play
weekend.
Some WoW.
I'm gonna get back on WoW.
Yeah.
Love it.
All things that are old are new again. On the 22nd is Luto coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This is not a loot-based rhythm action RPG turn-based game. Luto is a horror game a la what is the fucking PT, a la PT. It has, images of scary people in bed sheets standing in hallways, and it's like a super surrealistic high definition rendering of a home, and it's got all that stuff going on. That looks like a good freaky ass time. That's on the 22nd.
There's something wrong with you people. I don't understand it, and I never will. Why
Yeah.
people enjoy that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, makes you feel alive.
I know I'm in the vast minority. Millions of people love this shit, and y'all are freaks.
Yep.
I'm just going to say it. All right, on the 22nd, Monument Valley 3. This came out last year, I think, on Netflix published game, available on
Yes.
Netflix and mobile, but now it's coming to all the consoles, PC, etc. The first two games are also available on Netflix now. They ported them over because I think they acquired the studio in between 2 and 3. And I've always intended to play. I think I bought Monument Valley 1 on my phone, but never played it. So I'm gonna have
Kara
to try to
played
go
them
back 'cause they're
recently.
just beautiful little
Yeah.
puzzle games.
Yeah, Kara really liked 1, and I think I don't know that they played 2. They played 1 for sure. They really liked it.
On the 23rd is Wheel World coming out for PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Definitely looking forward to that.
It's on your Fantasy Critic.
It sure is, boyo. And then the next day, the 24th, is Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV, the dumb looking camera fucking
All right.
Mario Party expansion for Switch 2, and I cannot wait.
I'm sure Kara will not let me pass this one up. I'm sure we will be buying that. Same day on the 24th is another horror game. That's right. I'm fucking feasting over here, friends. It is Split with periods in between all the letters.
Fear.
Yeah, like Fear, just like Fear. It's only coming out on PC. This is a short narrative sort of adventure horror game that involves a lot of pixel graphics and cyber stuff going on, like retro tech cyber stuff. And it looks pretty cool. So that is Split on the 24th.
Also on the 24th is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, which is coming to all the big stuff, I believe. Not Switch, certainly. But this is a Souls-like. 505 Games is publishing it, and they've got a pretty good track record. This one's also on Game Pass, so it's going on my list of, you know what, I should give a Souls-like a try. This one's on Game Pass. I might as well play it, and then I don't. So that'll join
I
that
wonder
long list of games.
if I'll try this. I wonder.
It looks competent,
Yeah,
but it also looks like 60 other games.
right. And I can't tell from looking at them anymore if I'm going to like them or not.
Yeah, because they all look the same.
Yeah, but they
If
all,
we were
but they
doing
all
Jeopardy,
feel
that would
different.
be. If we were doing Jeopardy, that would be a category, and I just show you a frame
From
one of those.
Have to just figure out. Yeah, dude. I watch the trailer for this game and tell me what game it is. That impossible. There's no way you would know what game this is from watching the trailer.
The day after, on the 25th, is Ratatan. It enters early access. This is from the Patapon, the original Patapon folks. It is a roguelike I believe a run-based Patapon game with the children yelling the words and all that other fun stuff. Coming to early access on PC. It's on the 25th.
The 29th is Grounded 2 early access for the Xbox Series X and S and PC, presumably also on Game Pass. That is going to be starting later this month.
We should check that out. Grounded 1 is very good.
I'm down to play some Grounded 2.
Yeah. Also on the 29th is Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game. Coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. A lot of mixed early impressions from cozy game content creators on this one. So I want to believe, I think the game looks like butt and the art is bad. I want to believe that it is fun and cute.
Right.
We'll see.
I'm not a cozy game person, but I am a Lord of the Rings person.
Yeah.
And so I would totally get into this and vibe with it. But if it's not going to be a good one of those,
right,
it's not going to be one of those for me. All right. And our final game on the final day of the month, on the 31st, is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, coming to everything. This is a side-scrolling hack and slash. It got some Dead Cells energy, but it's not a roguelike, obviously. But it's it got a very like 90s aesthetic to it.
It's got a great art.
Looks pretty sick. Yeah. Looks very, very cool. It just makes me think of a lot of those like 90s side-scroll action beat-em-up games.
Right. So like nothing like massive, nothing earth-shattering, but a lot of smaller, interesting, cool things. Very different
we're
things.
in that period, right? Like in the summer slump,
the summer doldrums,
pick up in like September timeline, which is like good with me. I've got plenty of things in my backlog that I want to check out. I've got KCD 2. I know, Cody, you're going to be grinding out Death Stranding 2. So we were chatting about our game select for this month, and honestly just like couldn't come up with a good fit that we would all be psyched about. A couple things on Game Pass that make it easier and more approachable, but it's just like we just weren't excited to force ourselves to play any particular game. So our original intent was we're just not going to do a game select. We're all playing our own things. I mentioned in our playlist, right? Like July is going to be a pretty eclectic playlist because we're going to be playing different stuff. But if you guys want to play some Destiny 2, like I'm down to commit to that and like just doing it.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Let's make
if
that
nothing
our,
else,
let's make
just
that
a good excuse to hang out. So we'll do that. We're going to play some Destiny 2 Edge of Fate. If you had told me 6 months ago I would be signing up to buy a new Destiny expansion, I would have slapped you in the face. But here we are.
You have a pretty
Bungie
pretty
needs
rough history
a win
with Destiny, huh?
Oh yeah.
We could do a whole podcast talking about fucking Destiny. Destiny is the toxic ex that I just couldn't get over.
Yeah.
And so I finally just had to like block her. You know,
yeah.
I don't even want her in my phone. The temptation is too real.
I know.
But
things got violent.
She's a good time when it's
for
working,
me every time they show a trailer is like being sent a lewd, and it's just like fuck.
Yeah. I had to unfollow her Snap. You know, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the temptation.
Oh my god.
So there you go. Last second game select, Destiny 2 Edge of Fate. I'm annoyed that I suggested we go ahead and do this already. I'm already annoyed that I'm going to be playing Destiny.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. If you want to play some Destiny 2... Sorry, just saying that out loud. If you want to play Destiny 2... Who the fuck would want to play Destiny 2? But if you do... send us an email, partyselectpod@gmail.com. We will read it on the next episode as we talk about our experience with Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this baby up. Let's chat about what y'all can expect from Party Select in July. You're listening to our flagship podcast, which posts on the first Monday of every month. Later this month, on the 15th, we will be doing a worst games ever video. So if you've been following the channel, we've been streaming some bad video games. Yes. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Frogger the Great Quest. that's been part of our worst games ever series, where we take a look back at like our bottom 3 games lists and play some games from that era.
And
we're
Shay
going to be doing
and I get to sit back
one.
and relax and watch as
True.
Kyle
has
suffers
to,
through playing.
It won't always be
Unfair.
the case.
Unfair.
Eventually, yes, you're right. But you're the one that owns the games. You're the one that has the streaming setup. So I don't want to reveal what game we're playing. I think it'll be more fun if we'll post it on the channel. You can schedule it and follow it and be notified when we're ready to go live. But we're going to be doing a worst games ever stream of another bad game. If you've been checking that content out and enjoying it, you're going to enjoy this one also. Then the next week on the 21st, we will be doing our worst games of 2022. I mentioned already last month we had our... I said, yes, you're right. I said 2022. It'll be a decade before we get to that.
Yeah.
We did our best games of 2002 last month. So we'll be doing worst games of 2002 this month. I'm sure will always be contentious and very fun. And also good inspiration for another worst games ever stream.
Can't wait.
In a couple of months, probably.
Can't wait.
And then at the end of the month, we're doing a tier list. I think we're still figuring out exactly how we want to format it, because there's like weird edge cases. But the big picture is we want to do a tier list ranking of PlayStation 4 exclusive games. Whether that's like strictly Sony Studios games, or if it's all exclusives on the console, or console exclusive versus PC. Like, we haven't figured out like what we would just want to do a ranking of the PlayStation 4 exclusives. That's the easiest way to say it.
End of the day, it's going to be games that we feel like should be on there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about like Until Dawn. That's not a first party game, but it was a PlayStation 4 exclusive, like figuring that out. So you guys don't need to worry about that bullshit. We'll figure out how we want to structure it, but we'll be doing a tier list of the best PlayStation 4 exclusives at the end of July. And then the first Monday of August, on the 4th, you'll get another one of these.
Yeah.
Another one of these big podcasts. So be very excited about that. But that's going to do it for this episode. Unless you guys got anything else.
No.
I want to talk about Death Stranding 2 some more.
Well, yes.
I want to get back
Cody
to
has
playing
to beat
Death
it.
Stranding 2.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
We'll
definitely chat
Cody
about that
to get
next
back
month.
to playing it.
I'm very excited to play some KCD2. And I am excited to play some Destiny 2 now. That game, that's like, that game feels good.
Yeah.
No.
Gotta get our fire team together.
Block the Instagram. Like, I can't get
Dog bottom. Dog bottom.
Oh, boy. Well, all right. That's it. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. If you want to join our party, be sure that you're following the podcast on whatever service. Be sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Sign up for notifications. We've been streaming pretty regularly, a couple times a month. We want to stick to that because it's super fun. So you'll be notified when we're getting ready to go live for those. And then definitely send us an email, partyselectpod@gmail.com. Ask us whatever you want. Prompt us with whatever topic you want. We'd also love to hear your thoughts on the state of Microsoft, all that good shit. So if you've got thoughts, send them to us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and ring that bell.
Why do you do that? Why would you do that? I'm the one over here, like,
for the
guys,
SEO,
we need to
baby.
be promoting this stuff. I know it sucks. We got to lean in. This is how we grow. We have to do it. And you guys are both like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, but I'll do
Kyle
it ironically. Come on. It's a little, give us a little Death Stranding 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. It does help us out in the algorithm. Leave us a comment. Leave us a pity comment. Just write pity and post.
Pities below, please. Yeah.
Leave your pities below the like button. Thank you all so much for listening. Kyle and Cody, thank you for joining, as always. We'll be back in not that long of a time with some more video game shenanigans. Peace out.